the other characters are concerned, I believe they're able to access the other timelines by way of death via the live stream, acting as a bridge between the two different worlds. In the end, I expect both timelines will play out and eventually converge into one, with the Whispers acting as guardrails, ensuring that the two worlds do not collide, thus averting a possible time and space paradox between consciousness of the characters on each respective side. What was that?
I unmuted Discord.
Oh, what died?
The whole stream.
Oh, okay. Do I need to restart it?
I think so, somehow.
So what happened? Did it just start buffering and then it was over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it buffered in there.
Well, I can start it over. That's really weird that happened. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and hit stop stream and then start it again. All right. So who's a stranger here that actually made it all the way through? I guess KT Saki, you're a little bit more of a stranger with this, unless Audity shared this with you already, I take it. Cool. All right.
Well, he's sort of just kind of everywhere on the internet.
Yeah. All corners of the internet.
So you never know whether he's there or not.
Ah, yeah, true. Like he might be there 1 minute, but next minute he's not. It's kind of like Santa Claus, right? Or Neo or something. I'm just going to take a picture of my screen for the monitor only mute output. Yep. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. And then let me take a picture.
I see there's one person here. It says the normal 3.
And there are a bunch of bots too, which is really annoying. I wish I do a way to... I can't tell you how many times I've been like, oh, I've got like 10 people watching.
I see the red indicator where it says the 4.
The 4 what?
There's like a human icon and then it's like 4.
If I go into chatters or people?
If you load your entire stream.
On Twitch's website or what?
Yeah.
Should I take us back to... I guess I'll take us back to the web so you guys are at least looking at something. Let me just really quickly... I want to take a picture of the way I have this configured. So that way, if we do this again, we won't have to go through, like, hopefully, this whole painful process that we went through this time. Well, it's good to know that I can natively do it with OBS, and it works out. Used to not be able to do it. Used to have like, a specific thing. So, okay, and then, of course, I hid
I think on OBS, it might show what kind of viewer count there is happening right now.
Oh, really? Oh, hold on 1 second. What I'll do is I'm gonna point the window to something else. So let me do macOS window capture. Okay, and we'll just...
Because if it was counting the bots, it would say like a number like 12.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do that. It's just showing the number 4. And with just the 3 of us, you and solewrecker and me, it just says 3 people are watching the entire time at least.
So does that just mean that we were here, or did we actually get someone else to watch? It doesn't really matter. I was just curious.
Well, I was actually watching it the entire time.
Yeah, what was the crux? We got some people to watch, but then they left, or?
So it was like maybe at least 50% the entire time. Is just us.
Oh, okay. So we got some people to jump in, and they're like, "Oh man, this is way too slow." No. Let's see. I was gonna put it.
Well, I mean, I gave the little explanation, like, because they see the word Rebirth and they expect like demo gameplay.
Probably, yeah.
And they're all settling down for the evening
after watching football. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I'll just point it to this, so at least we have something to look at. So yeah. Okay. Well, if there were people that wanted to do Q&A, we would do that. So if anyone is here and has any questions about this theory, of course, I just want to rehash this single theory, the single scene that was a contradiction. If you are not all familiar with Dirge or Cerberus and all that nonsense, is basically there's one 45-second clip from that larger clip that you saw at the end before it gets to the hair part. And basically, you never see in a flashback scene Vincent proper. You know, Vincent, when I say Vincent proper, Chaos proper, and like Vincent's, you know, I call it grimoires, like Lovecraftian, like robe or whatever, warlock robe thing. But as it turns out, there's a scene with that. Now, there's so much material that we had to review. Like, I was just going over this with Audity not too long ago. Just to put the video together alone was like 200 hours. But him and I were been on the phone for, I don't know. I have the aggregates actually on my other computer, but it was a lot of time that's spent. And so we basically, you know, it was like, hey, is it possible? Because I know during the release of Remake, I was reaching out to both solewrecker and Audity in a Facebook group, you know, just the two of us, saying, hey, I think Vincent Zack, and they're like, are you smoking something? Are you okay? And so you might be asking, well, why back in 2016 did you have this idea in your head that, so I say 2016, I meant 2006. Why did I have this in my head? Again, Dirge of Cerberus wasn't out, and Crisis Core wasn't out. So I was, obviously it's not new news that Zack and Cloud get taken down to Shinra Mansion basement, but there was special emphasis just on Zack in that scene, not Cloud, right? And we never got to see what Hojo had to say, or even that Hojo or Shinra's research department showing up to the events of Nibelheim. We presume, obviously, if you look at the original OG. So why don't we just take a look at that real quick? Because I actually looked at that the other day. So I'll just say Zack, Cloud, flashback, OG. I'm sure it's been a while since you guys seen this scene too. So let's just watch it real quick because it's let me know if you guys can't hear. You guys should be able to hear though, right?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. Remember, guys, 1996, okay? This guy coming with the food, that didn't happen. There was just the researcher that Zack punched out instead and was not bringing him food, I don't think. Just checking on him. I was so thrilled to find out this game had a character named Zack that was like badass like Cloud, that like Cloud like modeled himself after. I felt so special. Just because his name happened to be Zack too. So
Yes, because that's your name.
Yep. Except mine's H, not K, but still, I can pretend for a little bit. Matter of fact, I dressed up as Zack. I think it was in 1986 or 1997 for Halloween. So I had the Buster Sword. It wasn't like as thick as a Buster Sword, but I even cut out holes to have little materia slots and stuff. And I didn't really dress up. I wore like a vest so I could, you know, like put the sword on my back and shit. And I slicked my hair back. I don't know if my friends really knew who the fuck I was talking about. Really, it's Audity's fault that myself and my whole group of friends, including solewrecker and others, like love Final Fantasy VII and got into it. They saw me play it and they're like, fuck, this is cool.
Yes. Sorry, it's really hard to converse in real time when there's a large delay.
No worries. That sounds inappropriate. Like, Aerith is like 14 or something, and he's talking about like sleeping at Aerith's house, and he's like, oh, I can't do that because the mother's there. That won't work.
boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom.
By the way, Soul, I'm loving this laptop, man. It's such a beast. 32 gigs of RAM. Ugh. 18 cores. I bet you
Yeah,
red.
it's definitely a
32.
beast.
I forget how much I have. I think I have 32.
Yeah, so re-rendering a video is going to be so much faster with an M1 Pro instead of an M1. Really doing anything processor intense. I actually think I'm going to do some like AI shit. So imagine how much faster that'll be with an SSD and like that kind of processor, an SoC like that.
You'll have to introduce me to some of the AI stuff because I don't really know what to do.
Yeah, there are a bunch of free libraries. There's a site called Kaggle. I'm going to take like a formalized course on it and then learn how to use the libraries through like example projects. And when I get further into it, I'll let you know. There's just basically different libraries. Like there's a transformer. There are different libraries used for different reasons. And you combine them in like specific ways cleverly, and then you can have it do magic stuff. Like speech to text, for instance, is one of them.
In this version, it makes it seem like he's like protecting Cloud, and that's why he loses all of his strength and dies.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it definitely seems that way. Doesn't look like a whole army, just a captain and two third-class soldiers with guns. I wonder how things would have played out if Sakaguchi never left
like
Square. Go ahead.
I wonder if he could have just dropped off the cliff and like came back from Cloud later.
Yeah, what's weird is they leave Cloud alive both in Crisis Core and this, which again begs the question. I do want to talk about that element of it, which is, and then of course the passing of the torch and the Loveless transfer, like we were talking about the other night, because that's going to be its own follow-up theory video. Like, you might be like, why are we spending the effort to talk about this when, you know, there are not that many people watching? Well, I'll save this as a video on demand so other people can take advantage of this commentary. It's not just lost to the ether.
Yeah, well, I think the next video will be like the whole thing where the three brothers transfer themselves to other three.
Yeah, so like the Loveless transfer. So that's actually something that Audity and I were talking about on the phone the other night, having completed the video. The video took basically 15, 16 days, pretty much nonstop to work on. I don't know like what the average amount of time each day I spent was. Probably somewhere between like as little as 6 hours and as much as like 18 to like 28, 30 hours at a time. But now that I've like figured out a bunch of stuff, it'd probably be faster. And number one, and number two, this last video, just to tie all those concepts together across all those games, is going to be very different versus just like looking at Loveless. You know, I would just basically make a montage of the characters we're talking about and then, you know, talk about Loveless or whatever. So it's probably gonna be a lot more simple, a lot quicker to put together. But basically, of course, if we're looking at Crisis Core just at face value when we're talking to Loveless, of course, we know that the prisoner would have prisoner slash the person that's captured slash prisoner would be no, Sephiroth is kind of off doing his own thing, so he's the Wanderer. The prisoner slash captive would be Genesis, and then the hero would be Angeal, right? But
Yeah.
because of the events in Crisis Core, and Angeal like lost his honor and he passed the sword on to Zack. He even thanks Zack at the end, like, thank you, Zack. You know, like, so he, as I was saying in the video, like, if a person loses their honor, like, especially monsters like this, then, like, they'll just evolve into monsters. And that was something that Angeal was very concerned about happening. And so that's kind of why he had Zack, like, you know, put him down like he was like a rabid dog with rabies, you know. And so then when you get to the end of Crisis Core, you think about it this way, which is Zack, it gets passed to Zack, but Zack was the hero, right? But under the this theory video, presuming this plays out, and there's a lot of compelling reasons that I think the narrative for the connection between Zack and Vincent being a thing, personally. I know it's kind of a bit of a stretch, but I don't think it's completely out there, especially the retconning. There's things that the developers are doing that seems to be hinting as a possibility, and I think it'd be very poetic. I know there's some people this theory would completely piss off. I've thrown that up on the internet a couple times. I've been like, Zack+Vincent, and they'll be like, stop being a troll, you piece of shit. You know, like, Cerberus is like a really sad story, and Vincent was his own person. But in reality, it's not incompatible with that, right? Like, if, say, for instance, Hojo used Zack's body with Vincent, you might be able to say, well, Vincent looks like Vincent just grown up. Right, but as chaos form. Like, if you go back and review the video, if you look at some of, you know, aspects of Zack's visage, compare, you know, his face versus Chaos's, you'll see that there's actually more, you know, landmarks and similarities to Zack than there is to Vincent with that face. So you might be asking, okay, well, is it Zack's body? Well, Hojo's going on
more like a combination of both characters at the chaos rate.
Yeah, you're right. But it doesn't look just like Vincent's got, like, I don't know, white face paint on or something, or like Phantom of the Opera kind of shit. So the question is, you know, Zack, in this video made this whole point about, you know, like, was it the monster has been harvested and can be discarded. So, you know, obviously he did things to Vincent that made him more powerful, and you might say, well, wasn't Lucrezia, if anyone that played Dirge of Cerberus, wasn't Lucrezia the one that actually turned him into chaos? And the answer is yes, but you have to understand the preceding thing that happened, right? Which is Hojo shot Vincent, which he probably knew that Lucrezia, I don't know if he knew that he could do that with chaos, but she could do that with chaos, you know, give Vincent chaos to save his life, you know, give him immortality at the cost of turning him into a monster. But regardless, I do think that Hojo is really smart and very conniving. So I personally believe that was intentional. And so anyways, where I'm going with this is there's that one scene, obviously that's a contradiction. But having said that, what kind of experiments did Hojo actually subject Vincent to actually strengthen his body? He was a Turk, okay? I'm not saying that Turks aren't badasses, maybe akin to first-class soldier, but like the question is, why have Crisis Core go from Zack, the clueless puppy dog at the beginning, to having this monster inside of him, this latent monster, right? This monster that didn't emerge. The closest thing we saw to that monster emerging was, of course, the scene where they're on the bike and they get stopped by Genesis at the bridge there, and one of the G clones. And yes, that's one of the Genesis clones. It's not clear because it's wearing like a mask and everything. But one of those G clones eats some of Zack's hair, and you see what happens. It's almost nearly one-to-one is the same transformation that happens with Chaos. And interestingly enough, out of all the different types of wings, right, we see white wings and black wings, right? In Crisis Core, we don't see like bat wings or vampire wings, but we see vampire wings on this G clone for some reason. And the whole thing Genesis was saying in that scene, of course, is since Genesis was kind of like an imperfect experiment, more or less a failed experiment in Hojo's mind, what Genesis was saying is that your cells will be the gift to the goddess, the degradation will cease, meaning that Genesis basically, in the period that Zack and Clad were captured and being experimented on, we don't know how they were experimented on, but presumably Hojo was trying to find a vessel for Omega. And possibly, like you might be saying, well, how do we get 30 years from Vincent, that happening to Vincent, to Zack, right? Like, wouldn't he have died? So the question is, maybe for a short period of time, Vincent could be that vessel. Maybe, like, I'm just using my imagination here, maybe anesthetized him. Maybe he was able to keep him in stasis until he was able to find a proper vessel. And I do imagine that at first, since Lucrezia had proven the theory correct about Chaos, that basically he needed to prove it with Chaos first, so he would use Zack for that purpose, and I think he had the intention of using Cloud as the last pure S-sample host to implant Omega onto him. But for whatever reason, it did not work. And that's when he injected himself with the Genova cells. So Hojo, it seems to be a prerequisite in order to, have the necessary strength or whatever to hold these weapons, that your body doesn't have to just be fit. It has to be injected with Genova cells so your body can regenerate and actually hold the weapon. So the idea is that I believe a transfer occurred. And like I said, at the end of Dirge of Cerberus, where Hojo is able to transfer his mind, a digital copy of his mind, into Weiss, albeit unperfectly. The part in that scene you don't see is that Hojo actually loses control over Weiss, and Weiss is able to take over and basically regain his identity and whatnot. But he did prove that he can transfer consciousness. So is it Vincent's physical body? Well, I don't know. And this is my sin, this is my punishment. When he's looking down at his body, you can look at it one of two ways. Either he's looking down because he's like, oh my God, what happened to my body? Or he's like looking down at my body and like having like an out of body experience. It's like, is this even my body kind of thing? And again, I do think that Vincent proper non-chaos form tends to look more like Vincent, except like if you look at the way Vincent from Dirge of Cerberus and the way his hair was versus the recent changes in Rebirth, if I were to just like in my mind pretend like Vincent's hair is not long along the cross of his back, I really can see Zack a lot. Just, you might say, well, it's not exactly the same, which is true, it's not, but if you let Zack's hair grow out a bit, I think it would look pretty damn close. And what's interesting is you need to realize that developers ran out of time in Final Fantasy VII. They did have kind of a plan for Vincent. Was that the original plan? It's hard to say. But, Zack was a kind of side story character. Vincent was a side character that wasn't fully fleshed out. Neither was Yuffie. And I just find it interesting that the mainline titles, Zack was not an optional character. He was part of the backstory, got his own mainline title, and so did Vincent, right? So we're talking about OG FF7 Cloud, Vincent, Dirge of Cerberus gets his own mainline, and Zack gets his own mainline with Crisis Core. So, and like I said, I don't think there's necessarily anything to it, but why did they not call it Crisis CORPS? Like Army, Crisis, and like I said, CORP or CORPS, plural, in French would be body or bodies. So, not that that's for sure something, but I just thought that was interesting. But back to it, these are side characters, right? Like one that's a backstory for the prequel, that's important, no doubt. Zack's character is important, and we learn in OG FF7 that Zack as a character is important, right? Like even Cloud has an existential crisis when it comes to thinking for a while in the game that he's Zack, right? Not by name, but by identity. And you could chalk that up to PTSD, you could chalk that up to a lot of different things. But I think that, if Clouds wasn't born purely of PTSD and the experimentation that went over the course of 4 to 5 years from just a mental, psychological, with holding up to that kind of experimental torture, then I would think maybe that's the reason why Cloud has some of those thoughts, is maybe he tried to implant Zack's mind into Cloud's body, because Cloud is that perfect SL host, right? And Zack had a special form of Genova cells. They won't say what, but my best guess is there's probably a special form of Jillian cells in him, because as you know, Zack's mentor in Crisis Core is Angeal, and Angeal has basically pure line of Jillian cells because he was born of Jillian, unlike Genesis, who was not born to Jillian, but instead had some of Jillian's cells implanted into him, not genetically from the mother, but in utero or whatever. And of course, turns out that because of the imperfect nature of that's the reason why Genesis was degrading. In Crisis Core, that he does meet with Minerva, and surprisingly enough, even though this Loveless poem sounds like complete bullshit, after he meets Minerva, his actual degradation ceases. But anyways, the reason why I mentioned the whole thing about Angeal is Project Jillian, the special power that Genesis has, aside from not Genesis, sorry, the special thing about Angeal about makes him a quote-unquote perfect monster, aside from the birth from cells that came from the mother genetically without it, being put in artificially in utero or whatever, was the fact that he has the ability to pass on his genetic traits to others. So presumably, like I said, there's not really anything else to go off of. It could be that Zack's like what he was exposed to is actually a hybrid or whatever. And I believe early on in Crisis Core, until they were experimented on, Cloud's eyes did not, while Cloud and Zack's eyes both did not have the Mako that we see in that cutscene where Zack is talking with Sephiroth saying, what are those? They're monsters. And Sephiroth makes the point to Zack, you're still human. What they're exposed to is far much greater amount of Mako. When that happens, that's what can cause you to turn into a monster. So the real question I have, is let's just say for a moment that this theory is not correct. At the very least, it's drawing attention to an aspect of Crisis Core I think a lot of people gloss over, which is in the alternative timeline where Zack lives. Presumably that monster's still inside of him, right? So I think that's going to emerge on the alternative timeline. But the thing that we contend, we said, we're proponents for, we're saying is that what if Zack's body, the reason why the Turks and the Shinra military are going after him is because there are two forces actually trying to capture / execute Zack, / Cloud. We know Cloud is a value target because he's the pure S-sample host, but interestingly enough, they kill Zack and they leave Cloud alone. So, the whole army shows up to kill Zack, but then, Cloud's just sitting right there and they leave him alone. Is presumably, I personally believe it's because, we said, what's the mind, what's the spirit, and what's the body? Well, I think in Final Fantasy's world, at least, the mind and the consciousness, the mind and the spirit belong together, and the body can be separate. So that's like an extension with Rebirth and Rebirth's characters. We go to the scene where Mugenhagen shows on one side of the planet a person materialize out of the ground, and then through the live stream, they turn into particles, and then they transverse the to the polar other opposite side of the planet, like the thesis planet to the antithesis planet, or the thesis timeline to the antithesis timeline. We're talking about multiverse here. I'm presuming that it does share the same space, just at a different period of time. And that's the reason why I think the whispers exist, is to make sure two individuals, even though they're not on the same timeline, they don't come close to each other, because that could be bad. I don't know if it would be a paradox, but you can imagine two people occupying the same space. But I guess the real question I need to be asking myself is, what am I saying with that? Well, I do think that magically on one timeline, depends if the consciousness, in the case of Zack, if Zack is Vincent, I'm basically saying, just to rewind here before I go on to the next part, I'm basically saying that Zack had his dreams stripped away from him. He's actually en route to Midgard to go see Aerith. She wrote him a note of 21 wishes, and they all basically summarized to her wanting to spend more time. He had lost sight of that because he lost his mentor Angeal. He was feeling lost. And that was kind of a mistake to go to Midgard, so he kind of abandoned and reneged on, his responsibilities, kind of. He didn't want to be part of it. He said, I just take orders and that kind of thing. So he lost his identity. His identity was built up on this whole Angeal thing. Now that Angeal was gone, he lost, and so that was kind of a weak spot for him. And so to be murdered in that way, you'd say, well, Zack, if he died, right? Yes, but as you know, when we die, our body remains here. So how would that work? Well, if we rewind earlier on in the video, in the Aerith scene with Zack talking to Aerith about it, Aerith says, don't they get a special form of surgery? And Zack says, that's what they say, right? He had I know nothing about it, but so presumably some aspect, maybe not Zack's full body, but there's some aspect of Zack and Vincent is what I contend. And specifically with what Genesis says, it would be the monster's been harvested and can be discarded. So I think even though they experimented on for a period of 4 to 5 years, it's not as far as we're aware, that Hojo intentionally allowed them to get away. Somehow Zack was able to like get out of his like coma and break through the glass and get out of the Mako enough. And he wasn't sick like at all like Cloud was. You know, Cloud was a third class soldier and was extremely drug-addled with Mako. They're making it sound like in Remake they're going to make it like an addiction is what I heard, like rather than just like a poisoning, like they're addicted or something. I'm not sure about that. I guess the Deep Ground people seem to kind of indicate that the way they siphon off, you know, Mako and Dirge Cerberus and whatnot. But where I'm basically going with this is that presumably he was not letting them just get out of there. They broke out, and then of course they're fugitives of the state. So the Turks are after them and the Shinra military. I contend that Hojo, since he's responsible for a lot of the monsters in the development of Soldier and the Soldier program, and, you know, like Sephiroth and, you know, first class soldiers, you know, having the monster element to them, you know, devolving their humanity and making them into monsters. Hold on. This is the problem about talking about this stuff. Is you're always trying to focus on one area, and it's so easy to go tangential because it's so complicated. Like I said, I know what I was going to say. The Turks, right? The Turks are trying to save Zack's life. Why? I don't know. It could be Sun is trying to save Zack's life because he feels responsible given the Nibelheim incident, and he was there, and he kind of didn't stop Hojo and let everything happen. But the thing
that's the Last Order clip.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then there's the scene from Crisis Core where he's telling Cisne, you know, save Zack's life. And the part that I think is important about those 88 letters and the 89th one or whatever that Aerith was writing to Zack is like, that was like, it sounds weird to say, but I think Zack needs to see those letters so he would not devolve into a monster, right? Someone that does not have honor or dreams, like, it will devolve into a monster. So I think that's the reason why Reno and Rude were there, supposed to go there and give him the letters, was so that way, like, he wouldn't just devolve into a monster. So you might be saying, well, who's ordering the Turks? Of course, the person that immediately comes to mind would either be Shinra or Rufus. They're trying to save Zack's life. On the other hand, the Shinra military, which I typically associate more with Hojo, since it's the weapons division and whatnot, I think Hojo, as we already know, I don't think, but I know I can say this much, is that Hojo always kills his failed experiments. He always makes sure they have a brutal end. So I think so as you know, the Turks needle in a haystack trying to find, so one helicopter, Reno and Rude, another helicopter with Cisne and someone else, and they were talking over the comms trying to find him. They didn't make it in time. And so Zack dies, right? But I think it's more of a spiritual or a conscious death, with the planet retconning or Sephiroth screaming with the whispers to save Zack and fuck up the timelines, because it means that Zack never has the ability to pass along his dreams and honor to Cloud, which makes him weak to be able to do anything in OG FF7 under the new timeline stuff. That's going to be bad on Cloud's timeline, right? Cloud is going to probably be like since he's just a Genova clone more or less, it's going to make his like much more weaker.
So in the remake, basically, his Cloud is like still sort of strong, so to speak, but like the weakness of like Zack on the other line might like start destroying him more to get Sephiroth to be able to get into Cloud's mind more or something.
Correct. And I think the two timelines, I think the characters can feel each other. So like Cloud, that is still Mako poison, that's with Zack, that he carries him to there. I think that Cloud on the other timeline can feel. Why do I say that? Like, let me give you an example. So Zack feels, and I know this is from the alternative timeline, but where Zack's death is retconned, he says in the trailer, I could feel every bullet passing right through me, right? And we already know it's probably due to the whispers, but the point is, they pass through him almost like as if it's painful. Not like he didn't feel anything, but he actually felt the bullets. So on one timeline, he actually felt those bullets, right? Those bullets actually did pass through him and into him and did not pass completely through him on one timeline where he survives. And the other, he's basically turned into Swiss cheese where his body takes those bullets, right? So I'm thinking, and I don't know if this way was Zack's death because the planet or whatever intervention created the other timeline to make this happen. But I'm thinking when a person dies on one timeline, their consciousness is transferred to the other. And you might be saying, well, are they just, what's going on the other side? Well, you see Aerith's asleep, you see Barrett is dead or asleep. So I don't know, like, if there's consciousness on the other side, if there's an integration that occurs or what's going on. But I do suspect at the end of Rebirth that when Aerith dies, presumably it's going to play out exactly that same way, since, you know, more or less we've been told by developers that at least one of the timelines, the main remake timeline, is going to play out more or less the way it did in the OG. And that's, I think, a way to honor the original material. Of course, there are some differences that were made to set up the two timelines, which is more in line with the Kabbalah anyways, the Kabbalah. And that's a whole video on itself, or a whole thing on itself, just like Loveless passing along. That's its own thing, which we haven't even, even gotten into broaching that topic. But suffice to say, what I'm trying to say is when Aerith gets stabbed and Marlene says, when she wakes up, that bad man's going to stab her. Well, when she wakes up, I think what Marlene's saying, because Aerith touches Marlene in the main remake timeline. Before at the end of remake, we find out there's this alternative timeline that's been spawned. But as you know, Aerith has access to those things earlier. She saw something that Aerith saw that she was not supposed to see, right? And so I think she gets stabbed all the same. She dies, and they're going to play it out super long. They're like, fuck, Aerith died again, right? But I do think what's going to happen is where Zack's there and got Aerith in her arms, or sorry, his arms. She's going to wake up, and then Aerith and Zack are going to attack whatever forces there are on the alternative timeline, while the main timeline, they're going to be attacking things from that point of view. And so if there are other characters that die, like Barrett almost died, right, in Remake's timeline. But the Whispers did a similar thing to him. So I guess, they retconned Barrett's death, but Barrett didn't die in the original games. So does that mean on the other timeline he will die or something? And when he comes back, it's going to be like the Barrett from the other side or something? It's just very interesting. And as far as the other characters, like I said, I think their transfer happens through the live stream through death, which is that Bugenhagen scene. The main difference with Aerith is that she has the ability to do that while just dreaming. She doesn't have to die for it to happen. And I think she's able to see things and has a connection to both sides because she's a Cetra, right? And the Cetra, were a more advanced civilization, probably with better technology than the current generation of people. And and they're connected with the planet. You see in the key art, both of her feet are on the earth, not on the rocks from that key art. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. But just to go to one other detail real quick is that you might be saying, well, how is it that Vincent's on one side? So Zack turns into Vincent proper's character. What would that mean for Zack seeing Vincent or whatever? Well, we don't know on the alternative timeline what that's going to work out. But if we find out that Vincent's not Vincent the way we remember him per Crisis Core and opening up the, Crisis Core, it was in Crisis Core and it was also in Crisis Core Reunion. Why did they call it Reunion? Almost sounds like it's alternative timeline stuff. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's kind of hard to say. Those were all prequel events, so maybe they play out mostly identically. But I'll tell you that cameo scene with Vincent both show his coffin. It doesn't say it's Vincent. We open it up. So I think the fact that they don't show Vincent in there is a very compelling reason. I mean, you don't have to. Sometimes with cameos, you do things to tease them. But again, Last Order, Final Fantasy VII, Dirge Cerberus, and Crisis Core had overlap in their development. I did not hear anywhere, and maybe this is the case, maybe this is the reason, but I didn't hear anywhere that Crisis Core was made by Square and Dirge of Cerberus was made by some third-party studio, and the character models are not compatible or something. I've never heard anything like that. That could be a technical reason, right? But I honestly think they don't have to show Vincent either, but I think they intentionally omitted showing him for a reason. And that reason would be very clear, again, if Zack's body, or minimally, if it's not Zack's body, Zack's beast is discarded and Zack's body goes away. But there's some connection between the body and the beast, right? Not between the beast, but body and the beast. So I do expect, I don't know if how they're gonna tell us this, but if it's not in Rebirth, it'd be in Reunion. I do think we're gonna find out some aspects about Vincent, because they said Vincent's playing a much bigger, larger role in Rebirth. And I think there's a strong possibility. And again, you know, Vincent's not playable. Why? Oh, people will say, oh, it's like what Square said about the guest characters with Remake. They ran out of development time. So, you know, was not playable in Remake, but he's going to be playable as a character in Rebirth. Well, that's definitely a convenient thing, because they also said that Vincent's a much more major character. He's not just a side character now. And we already knew he was a more important character from the Dirge of Cerberus timeline, but you got to understand, if the mainline Remake timeline plays out to the Dirge of Cerberus, you know, where Zack dies, there's that, but on the alternative timeline, there's, of course, some other outcome. So what I'm basically trying to say is, obviously, the other outcome is Vincent proper probably does not exist on the alternative timeline. And if we see that he does not exist in the way that, like, he looks different, like vastly different, then that pretty much confirms his theory, right? Like, so, but again, the key art, Rebirth, like that color, I would not associate that Rebirth logo with any other. And what did they tease in September? Vincent. You know, towards the end, they've been teasing Vincent. So, and again, Vincent got a mainline story and Zack got a mainline story. And I could tell you about the love list. I'll end with this, because otherwise I could just keep talking and talking and talking. But so when Zack dies, so the Loveless poem before Zack dies, Zack is the hero. After Zack dies, Zack is the prisoner, right? So let's just go again. Angeal passes the sword along to Zack. Zack becomes the hero. Then who is the prisoner then? The prisoner before Zack dies would have been, shoot, I have to write these down. I'm always trying to remember.
Right.
So Angeal was, I think, one, and then I'm not sure if it's Sephiroth or Genesis for that side. But again, he goes from hero, passes the sword on to Cloud, to prisoner. And during that transition of him going to prisoner, guess who the hero is? Cloud now, right? And then who's the wanderer? Well, the wanderer then would become probably Sephiroth, right? So, because he's just wandering around and doing all that shit. So,
what about Genesis?
Yes, Genesis. We should talk about Genesis. So, if you guys didn't notice that last cutscene that has absolutely no explanation, that's a secret ending from Dirge of Cerberus. You might say, well, I don't know the end of Dirge of Cerberus. Can you please explain it? Yes, okay. So in Dirge of Cerberus, basically what ends up happening is, obviously Vincent kills Weiss, more or less. Well, it doesn't kill Weiss. Weiss basically had his body impacted with Omega weapon. Weiss with Omega, right? And Vincent had Chaos. So Omega, Weiss, Chaos, Vincent. When the two made contact, they like cancel each other out. So Vincent did not die. It looks like he died. And then you see he's actually in Lucrezia's cave afterward. He's lost the chaos power, so he's no longer immortal. Does that mean if Zack has that element of chaos weapon proper, the way we know it, does that mean that Zack died? I guess that does mean that Zack like might have died, or his spirit resolved, right? Like, is his body, like, if he's the weapon, I don't know what it means to have the monster of the weapon. And then Weiss, same thing, right? Except Weiss is still alive, but presumably we don't know if Hojo's consciousness still exists somewhere in Weiss, but you see he's slain. There's like one of his gun swords is in the ground, and then you see Genesis just completely appear out of the woodwork, completely, just warps from the ether into the cave. And that's a warp bubble, right? He's able to control space and time clearly. Like, that's not a normal ability. That's not a spell we've ever seen before. And Genesis obviously has roots to the Bible, also has, connection or roots to the word creation, right? Genesis, creation. So if Rebirth, and this whole thing of the Kabbalah with, being reborn, and these are memories and stuff too, there's a whole thing there. I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole, but Genesis comes and says, it is not yet time for slumber. Oh, and don't get me started with Loveless about Vincent being the one that slumbers, right? With being the prisoner and stuff too. But takes him and takes off. And since we know he's able to do the warp bubble thing, Genesis can basically, he might have been the one, not Sephiroth. Probably was Sephiroth to a degree, but presumably the new Deep Ground brothers are Genesis, who was previously not a Deep Ground brother, who then saves Weiss, who's the Deep Ground brother, and he talks about brothers. So there's Deep Ground brothers. So who's the third? Is it Sephiroth? Is it Zack, since Zack has that latent monster? That's kind of my guess, is the three brothers are either Zack or Vincent if he dies, right? Vincent. Because that's the whole reason why Deep Ground even existed. So on one timeline, it could be Zack for the Deep Ground brothers, the third brother, and on the other timeline it would be Vincent, and then the other two would be, the other one would be Weiss, and the other one would be Genesis. Question is, does Sephiroth fit anywhere into the Deep Ground brothers? I don't think so. It's possible, though, he might be the third Deep Ground brother. I'm not sure.
Where did Zack come from? Or when did he get his monster?
That's something we're not 100% sure on, right? So early into Crisis Core, we see Hojo has a supreme fascination with Zack, right? But that could be just because he has a fascination with anyone that comes through Soldier. He said, impressive. We only see people with your kind of talent and skill only come around every 2 years or so. And I don't know what the significance of that is. But the question is, are Zack's parents actually Zack's parents? Is Zack related to Angeal? Is Vincent related to Angeal, right? Is there anything with the family there? Because I'm sensing a connection. Are we getting the connection 100% correct? I'm not sure. I feel pretty confident it's
Gongaga.
Gongaga, exactly. And they share the hometown of Gongaga. Angeal is actually from Benora, though, I'm pretty sure, as is Genesis. Yeah. And so there's a parallel there. Two Gongagas, two Genesis. So you could see how that could be another Loveless parallel with those two characters having a role in, prisoner, wanderer, hero kind of thing. If that pairing's correct, then it might be Genesis is actually a good guy.
Do you think he could be like a brother?
Who could be? Genesis? You're asking if Genesis...
Vincent to Zack.
Yeah, I do. But I even think that Vincent by himself, where Zack dies, or on the alternative timeline where Zack lives, I think since Zack still has that latent monster that was not harvested and could be discarded, that Zack could start out good, but then become a Deep Ground brother in the alternative timeline. In the other timeline, I mean, presuming it works out the same, then it just goes Sturgis Cerberus and Vincent does not become a Deep Ground brother. But if they're changing it a little bit, they're retconning those details even for the main timeline, then I do think Vincent has the chance of being a Deep Ground brother potentially. It depends if Omega and Chaos are separate from the Deep Ground stuff. I mean, they're all weapons, they're all super powerful, and they all have a beast form.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to say I muted the stream so that I could unmute Discord. I don't know if solewrecker could also do that to not have a delay anymore.
Yeah. What I will do is there anything I need to do? I guess you guys can just stop playing the stream. We can keep talking so people can listen. Well, right. I don't think I have the stream playing on my end, so it won't affect me at all.
Yeah. So obviously keep the stream up, but just mute it.
Yep. Honestly, the stuff we're talking about right now, this higher level concept stuff, if anyone's watching this, VOD later, and it's
I'm keeping track of who's watching right now too. There's 5 people in the room for a really long time.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So
which means 2.
So the thing is, this is you might be asking okay, how have you gotten this far with a theory? Well, what's interesting is I'm not mean to judge. Sleep Easy's theory video, amazing. The way he really hammers on the themes, especially about memory. I think he's nailed a lot of themes about the game and their connections and how it informs the future story making process. But there's a ton of theory videos out there that's what are the whispers? They're only looking at one element and they're not looking at the cohesive thread, or even really appreciating Loveless. I think a lot of fans are really annoyed with Loveless because of how convoluted the poem is, and it's like, how does it apply? And the reason why it's so convoluted is really depends in relation to what. Really, the poem can apply to so many different situations. Like at the end of Crisis Core, so during the middle of Crisis Core, we see again the friends, Genesis, Sephiroth, and Angeal. The prisoner, so Genesis is the prisoner, Sephiroth is the wanderer, he's going off on his own, and then the hero is Angeal, right? But
just bring up the poem on the screen.
Oh yeah. Let's see, I will
so we can all have poetry time together.
Yep, so what I will say is I'm going to call it Loveless FF7. By the way, this wiki fandom page, I love fandom. I'm not sure if you guys have ever used it before. It's basically a fan-made wiki, and they have tons of like concept art, and I'd say generally the articles for the most part are pretty well written. So yeah, if we look at Loveless here, so here's the English translation. Let me see if I can make it a little bit smaller. We can fit more of it on there. Yeah, we can fit the whole thing in this way. Sorry, it's a little bit small, but that's all of it as it turned out, right? Oops, right there. So I can highlight the lines, and we're thinking of doing a whole video on Loveless if there's a reason to. Like, I think for fun we should do it, but it'd be so much better for us. And I'm not mad that this video's not gotten traction yet. I do think, like, if we're some of the people to actually theorize this correctly, this video is going to get a lot more attention later on. Not that we have to be right. I just think that, the cohesive.
I think the stuff we talked about last night regarding, like, okay, you have the poems on the screen right now, and if you let me look at it real second. What? Okay, yeah, captured is the prisoner. So on Act 1, second stanza, it says 3 friends go into battle. 1 is captured, or the prisoner. 1 flies away. Is that the wanderer?
Correct.
And then the one that's left becomes a hero. So the captured one is maybe Genesis. I don't know.
In terms of what? Like which? Like in the early Crisis Core, middle Crisis Core, end of Crisis Core, or
early?
Okay. Yeah. So I think it as, well, you can look at it one of two ways. Sephiroth, bound by his role as, like, let's be honest. Before Sephiroth finds out that his mother's Genova, and which is not true. His mother's actually Lucrezia, and I don't even know, like, if he picks up like an incorrect, like, that's Hojo's lab. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, really, the reality is my belief that Genova did not give birth to Sephiroth. Now, did Lucrezia inject herself with Genova cells and give birth to Sephiroth? That is 100% true. So I don't know why. I think about it like this. That's an argument why you could say Sephiroth's actually the prisoner, because he is this perfect hero, right? He does everything right, yet he's trapped. He's a captive of Shinra because he's raised by Shinra, right? And the one that flies away would be Genesis, because he's off doing his own thing, and his head is in the clouds with Loveless, right? Like his general approach between the way that he's so obsessed with Loveless and the way he's wandering the world, doing his own thing, kind of makes him the wanderer. I do think you could say the opposite of the roles, right? You could also say, well, Genesis is the captive, but I think probably the better one would be Sephiroth's the captive, because again, he's like Shinra property, like proper. You say, well, what about Genesis? I would say you could make an argument both ways, but I think the ultimate, like, stronger way would probably be, like I said, Sephiroth's actually the captive, and then Genesis. But like I said, you could make an flip the two, and then of course the hero's Angeal. But then we get I want you to finish that thought first, but I would like to talk about how that evolves throughout the game, and to obviously the end of the game, and to even getting into OG FF7, to even talking about the roles in Dirge's service, because there's all assignments everywhere throughout. Like, even you could even say it with like Tifa and Aerith and Sephiroth, right? So who's the hero? Aerith. She sacrifices herself for the benefit of the team, of just the two main not feminine antagonists, heroines, right? So, and then Tifa would be the prisoner, I think, and Sephiroth would be the Wanderer in that case. And the reason you'd say, well, why is Tifa the Wanderer? Well, Cloud's like 2 feet away from like her at any given time, and he will not love her, right? The way that Tifa wants to be loved.
Yeah.
Like he's like Cloud's like more wanting to be with Aerith. And why is that? Again, I think the reason why is because Cloud's head has been fucked up with by Shinra and all this shit that Hojo put Cloud through.
Yeah.
And even
Well,
Tifa might have had her head screwed with too, because she was injured in the Nibelheim incident, and what's preventing her from being screwed with Hojo as well. You know,
I think Sephiroth is like talking to Cloud at one point, and like it's like, do you know everything about Tifa or some crap like that?
So I think Tifa is the prisoner because the reason why Cloud is even going after Aerith the way he's going after Aerith, Zack falls into the church and meets Aerith. What happens to Cloud? Cloud falls from the second Mako reactor catwalk right outside, you know, with not Super Duster. What was the name of that? Airbuster, right? The weapon.
Right.
Explodes the bridge. Of course, he's hanging, and then he falls. And then in Remake, we see a similar thing, except he's got like a grappling hook out of nowhere, because just figure like how the hell is he gonna like survive this without a grappling hook to like soften his blow. So, but they both wake up. Like parallels 1-to-1. I did not include that scene with Cloud because we're talking about Vincent. But technically, if you run the two in parallel, of course, they both meet Aerith. By the time, you know, Cloud meets Aerith, she already draws a connection to Zack because he's got the same sword. He looks the same. And what's weird is the other love interest, Tifa, has a similar situation, right? Like, if you look at just the OG FF7 timeline, she's expecting Cloud to have become first-class soldier. She's so excited that she thinks the person that's stationed with Sephiroth that became first-class soldier is Cloud coming back to Nibelheim, and it's not. She's really upset about it, right? And so what ends up happening, of course, is that we find out that Cloud was there. He was a third-class soldier wearing a helmet, and they have to share that memory together to unlock it. Both of them do, because they misremember. But why do they misremember? Is it because it's traumatic, or is it because Hojo fucked even with Tifa's mind? You know, they have to fall into the live stream in Medill in order to and share this thing together in order to unlock it. But the point is, she's the prisoner because, again, if the goal was to not due to PTSD, but transplant Zack's memories into Cloud, then that would mean that's the reason why he's throughout most of FF7 until you get to Medill, Cloud thinks he's Zack. He just doesn't say he's Zack. He takes on Zack's identity, not Zack's name, right? He's still Cloud, but he had the dream of becoming a first-class soldier, and you think, oh, he's just living precariously, you know, off of Zack's story because he could never measure it up. But what if it was like part of the mistaken identity was actually born out of the fact that it was imperfect, like mind transfer? And that would make sense, right? Like if Zack+Vincent, like maybe, I mean, I'm not talking about after Zack dies the mind, but they were experimented on for 4 to 5 years before Zack gets killed, implants Zack's memories into Cloud. And then Zack doesn't have memories. He does not have dreams. He was robbed of those. And then his body gets used for Vincent. And then Vincent, he has the technology at the end of Dirge Cerberus to transfer the consciousness digitally. So it's still kind of like a clone kind of thing. I don't know if you can do it like Neuralink or whatever, like, you know, in vivo or whatever. But so that's like an argument for it, right? And I think it's a pretty strong argument because, like I said, you even see Tifa is the prisoner because Cloud's sitting right there, but he's more enamored with Aerith. Why? They hadn't met before, but seems to be this affinity, this memory, right?
Yeah.
And the shared memory is like, and who knows, maybe it's like the reason why Cloud, third class soldier, is so powerful is maybe like with Zack having that special special Jillian cells, special Genova cells run through him with the Jillian cells, allowed him to impart some of his genetic information into Cloud. Because how is it that this third class soldier is able to beat Sephiroth's ass better than Zack? Well, and the answer is twofold. One is, I think Sephiroth was caught off guard because he had his back turned and he probably didn't sense anything bad behind him because Cloud has pure S cell and Genova cells in him. I think he had pure Genova cells, but then after they experimented on, they had pure S cells in them, and so like he didn't notice him as like a threat, but also like how do you go from third class to like exceeding Zack, right? And so I think Zack is like it was passing along the sword, passing on the proverbial torch with the sword. But the other aspect of it was I think he passed along some of his genetic information, which is just ability Jillian class experiments or monsters are able to do. So
is that the whole point of the scene, like I'm the perfect being or whatever, and then Angeal says that, and it's basically to just convey that Zack can have that ability too or something?
Yeah, exactly. Like when he sees the sword and he's like going back to like he's like, Angeal, what am I supposed to do? He keeps saying that. Like I think it hits him, like he's like I'm like indestructible. I think it hit him, you know what I mean? Yes, and I do think that. So Angeal passed his ability on to Zack, and then when Zack died, passed along that. It's kind of like it's not the monster thing, exactly the same monster thing. It's more, I think it could like imprint onto the monster or onto his shell of a body that could be used later for Vincent's character with at least the chaos form of him or whatever. If not like doing surgeries to implant some aspects of him, but like also just like as a superpower. They're able to impart. So that makes sense why Cloud, third class soldier, comes to Midgar and he's such a badass. He didn't go through like training school. He didn't complete the normal like boot camp to get to first class soldier. So how do you get all that? Okay,
yes, it's like a memory genetic thing combination.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the body memory thing I talked about, and that's the problem. Is in the video I mentioned these things kind of vaguely because I don't know, but I also because if I were to go down that rabbit hole, we'd have to explain that whole thing too. So that's the reason why like this commentary, like I'm going to link up this video into the description, link up the VOD description to the YouTube video, because people need to really watch this to understand that this is not just a bunch of nonsense of us just being like this being fan fiction. I do think, obviously, if they don't use it, it is fan fiction, but I think it's pretty amazing fan fiction. But again, why not show Vincent in the coffin and Crisis Core? Why not show Zack's beast or monster? Okay, well, maybe we see it in the alternative timeline, but maybe not. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's a flip of a coin. In one world, the main remake world, Zack dies like normal, and the events of OG mostly play out slightly, albeit slightly differently. And then the alternative timeline is where we actually get to see Remake as a fully reimagining, right? Where Zack survives. And I'll be curious to see if Vincent, the way we know Vincent, maybe Vincent died on that timeline, or maybe Vincent, maybe Hojo uses someone else for Vincent. Maybe he turns into like a different type of monster or something. But I do think,
timeline, Zack literally becomes Vincent.
Yeah, well, think about this with the splitting of the two timelines. Think about this for a moment, okay? On the bad ending timeline, the OG timeline, the last game in the series is Dirge of Cerberus. And what's the resolution? Vincent defeats Omega. There's peace. Now, 498 years later, or however many years, it's like almost 500 years later, but subtract, the 5 years or whatever, like 495 years later, the planet still decides to wipe out all humans, but it's not through Omega weapon. I presume that it's like it launches a bunch of the planetary weapons that come out of the ground and just murders all the humans because they're seen as like a cancer or disease. They're causing harm on the planet. Part of it's probably Shinra because with the Mako and stuff. So finally the planet hits back. But as far as we're concerned for our story, because that's 500 years later, that's when you see Naniki and Red 13 and his offspring going to the edge and looking over Midgar, right? And doing the helling at the end of OG. And it's also the little bits and scenes we see in Remake where Red 13 or Niniki says, this is what happens in the events if we do not succeed against the Arbiters. And that actually makes a lot of sense because that was the whole scene where I said Crocchio, Rubris, that would make sense, right? Because they're saying if you don't kill those avatars of the weapons, and then, which is like a metaphorical sense, a spiritual side of the weapons, you'll kill the physical weapons, right? Then those physical weapons will come out of the ground and kill humans 500 years later. So I think it's kind of like a red herring because you think it's the alternative timeline, but I think it's just saying that like you have to kill the weapons in Rebirth and Reunion, otherwise that's going to happen 500 years later. I think maybe like in the playing out, like since those are optional things, like maybe there was a secret weapon or something. I don't know. I do think they're like, I'm 100% like on the right track with that. Whether I'm 100% right, I think at least the theory.
Hold on, wait a minute. At the end of OG, like everyone dies, including Sephiroth. So maybe that's why he wants to create the world of Edge of Creation, to have an end goal.
Oh, true. Yeah, because he said, I won't have you end, nor I will. I won't end, nor will I have you end, Cloud, in the new one, right? Yeah, because everyone dies. So, but then the question is, was Sephiroth really reborn, or did Genesis decide, since they're old friends, to revive Sephiroth? So does that make Sephiroth the third Deep Ground brother? It might be Sephiroth, Genesis, and Weiss. That actually would make a lot of sense. Yeah, I think you're right about that. That's like really strong point.
I'm a little confused about the Deep Ground brother thing. Like, why is that important? Like, I don't know if I've discussed it. We discussed it too much or something, or like come to an agreement of what it means.
So Deep Ground, think of Deep Ground as like the most elite. Okay, the second close to the most elite would be someone like Zack, or like someone like Vincent proper, through Zack's impenetrable body, which I think came from Zack or whatever. They're like even a little more elite than that. So they're like basically almost like demigods. They're so Mako infused and Mako addicted prisoners of a research lab. That's, Hojo's basically main hangout. I mean, not his main hangout, but his favorite place. Like that's the reason why I wanted to become Weiss. Like he said, he wants to be like a god. He wants to, why do you choose Weiss? Because of how powerful. So I'm not sure if I answered that, but basically the answer is, in the OG timeline, the Deep Ground brothers are basically almost on the edge of being gods, practically. And so,
what about Nero?
So Nero, per Dirge of Cerberus, actually merges with Weiss to survive. So that's an example, once again, of his consciousness transferring onto Weiss, which means I'm not sure if he's a Jillian, Project Jillian, or how that works.
That's another thing I wanted to know. Like, there was a confusion with the Project G.
Yeah, so originally through Crisis Core, it was Project Genesis. It was Project Genesis for like 3/4 of the game. And then Hollander comes out, who's the father to Angeal, and says, your mom would be proud to find out that she was the namesake of our project or whatever. And then we find out it's actually Project Jillian. So again, Genesis was given like Jillian cells in utero, and the pure Jillian cells, since they were given birth, they were injected into Jillian, but then gave birth to Angeal, made the perfect monster because it was a pure-blooded one.
For some reason, there's a connection between like Genova and Jillian, which would be weird considering, I guess it's just Genesis and Jillian.
So the main three projects are Project G, Project S, and Project J. So Jillian, Sephiroth, and Genova. Those are the ones that are talked about in Crisis Core, at least. There are not any other projects that I'm aware of.
So the unholy union of Hojo and Lucretia created Sephiroth.
Correct.
I guess he was deemed important enough to
get his own cell line, basically. Yeah, his own.
And then
thing.
What is it? Genova obviously being outside force, major shit, and then so it's S,
Calamity.
J, and then G for
Genesis. It was originally Genesis throughout most of the game, and you'd think it's Genesis, but then Hollander comes out and says Project Genesis, or as we like to say, Project G, Project Jillian, after your mother.
So wait, that would mean that like Genesis would think he's like a really major player, but then like it actually turns out that Angeal was actually the major player because like
Correct.
he like got robbed of that by Jillian being the one, like Hollander, like basically going under Jillian's nose. I mean, Genesis's nose.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm talking about exactly.
Well,
but
and Jillian, she killed herself
yeah,
out of shame, So I think what happened is, as soon as like Hollander finds out about that, he even says like a two-way conduit, and when he mentions the two-way conduit, that's when he says you have the ability to pass your genetic traits on to others, and so it must be a two-way exchange because, so in other words, if two Project G people get together, apparently they can transfer genetic information across each other. So maybe it was not Minerva that saved. If Zack came in contact with Genesis, which he did in Benora with the whole Minerva thing, just the two of them fighting could have been the reason why.
I'm a little confused about the Minerva thing because is that like considered the goddess in the poem story?
Yeah, well, yeah, literally, yeah. That's the goddess at that part. That is the gift of the goddess, like, which is he thought to be the cure, right, for his degradation, which was given to him by Minerva. He thinks, but it could just be as easy that maybe contact with Zack at that point, he had Project G cells, and the question is, do they have to be genetically related for those traits to be a two-way conduit? And if the answer is yes, then I'm assuredly believe that Angeal and Zack are related. And it could be that, like I said, Angeal's like a fatherly figure to Zack, right? He says, you're a little bit more important than my sword. And Zack ends up with the family namesake, the family sword, right?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Like the G stuff, that two people can connect with each other, that literally could mean that Vincent is Zack, because like Vincent is Vincent, but like he gets transferred lots of these like genetic memory shits.
Yeah, you're right about that. Shit. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, and I break it down like this. There's body memory, there's mind memory, and that's the reason why I said the parallels, right? Like, maybe in order to form Vincent proper, you have to not just have that, but you also have to have the body memory component. In order to have the body memory component, you have to have someone that looks like Aerith, Lucrezia. You have to have a mentor figure. And I don't know Grimoire's relationship with Vincent, but they seem to have some closeness, even though it looks like Grimoire was in the lab a lot, and who knows what Vincent was doing before he was a Turk. But he says, apologize to my son Vincent for me, when he dies. Sorry about what? The question is, like, maybe Grimoire knew what happened. Maybe he knew this was going to happen. Hojo was going to do this to him, or I don't know, Like, but the Angeal Healy Grimoire, like, I think there's something there. Like, you saw, like, they don't look exactly the same, but they have the same fucking, what is it called? The same soul patch on their chin, right? They have the same, like, unshaven part of their chin. They look the same except longer hair, which is like, Zack, Vincent, longer hair. And also apparently Vincent had like a brother named Joffrey that we don't even know who the fuck Joffrey is. Be weird if Joffrey was like Genesis or something. That'd be fucking weird. But
Vincent has a brother?
Yeah. If you look in this, so I can pull it up. Let's see. So let's just search for Vincent Valentine on here instead.
Let me get a drink.
Okay, yeah, I'll be right back to you. I'll bring up the part about Joffrey, and then I'll be right back to you.
So while the streamer is away, I'll provide my input of nothing.
All right, so give me maybe I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna make myself some hot chocolate, and we'll get back to talking and try to wrap this up. But what I just wanted to say real quick is, I said, and I'll add to this video to link to the live stream, the video on demand for this. But the other thing I was going to suggest is that after we do this, I think I should use YouTube DLP, my version 2 script, to download this from, well, I should find the Twitch version of it, download it, or if I can just download it off Twitch and make a project to just do as an addendum, like a commentary, live stream, watch party number 1, commentary and then link it in the description as like a follow-up video, because I do think like this is really like the other part to get really people to appreciate the stuff we're talking about. But anyways, I'm not gonna be able to hear what you're saying, if anything, but I'll be right back.
Wait, how many minutes? Because I might feed the dogs. As
Okay,
well. So maybe
cool.
it's like be right back screen or something. All right.
I lost. I don't know where the fuck I was. Hanging from the cord. From my salvation and your eternal slumber. Let me make sure I'm still streaming here. I imagine so. Sorry that took so long. So anyways,
Question.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Vincent had like a brother. Do you think Vincent and Zack could be related in some way besides?
I think so, yeah. Like if they're not like related, like because of the monster, they could actually be related. Like, I mean, the biggest problem with the Vincent thing is we're told that happens 30 years in advance, right? So it could be like, so people have questioned, could Vincent be the father to Sephiroth? Well, if he had sex with Lucrezia and it wasn't Hojo that got her pregnant, or Grimar could be the father to Sephiroth. You know, we don't know who. We presume the person that got her pregnant though was Hojo, but it could have been Vincent. They were kind of having a little love fling as his father's like girlfriend. So if that's the case, think about it this way: Vincent could be the father to hold on. Vincent could be the father to Angeal, who's the father to Zack, or it could be that Vincent is the father to Angeal and Zack and their brothers, or something. I don't know. But I sense some sort of relation. If we go back to Loveless for a moment, this is interesting. Let me find it. Dude, the candy's so good. The Japanese candy. Okay. Your eternal slumber. Here, look at this. My soul, corrupted by vengeance, hath endured torment to find the end of the journey in my own salvation and your eternal slumber. My soul's corrupted by vengeance. So, you know, who wanted vengeance? You have to ask. You know, like Vincent wanted to go after Hojo. He's the one that says my sin, my punishment, right? But let's just say like let's just look at the two characters of Zack and Vincent for a moment. My soul corrupted by vengeance hath endured torment to find the end of my journey in my own salvation and your eternal slumber. So the salvation I think of in Crisis Core would be Angeal's death and Zack's death. Eternal slumber, though. So, eternal slumber could either refer to Dirge of Cerberus at the end when, you know, he says it's not yet time to slumber. So that was like Weiss, right? Slumber being like sleep for a really long time, like rest in peace or something. Or it can mean in my own salvation, Zack dying in your eternal slumber, the next part, which is Vincent. You know, he fucking sleeps in a coffin. He slept in a coffin for 30 years, supposedly. I don't know how he kept track of time. If he really slept that long, you know? I mean, obviously there's a lot of supposition. There's a lot of guessing. But I do think it comes from like this place of like having, you know, some idea of some thread here, right? So I do think at a minimum there's some relation. Let's go back to Vincent's page. There was something I think it was it Joffrey? I don't know what his brother is. Let's see what his brother. Let's see. Vincent continued through Deep Grounds Complex and met Nero the Sable, Weiss's brother. Wait, 1, 2. When Nero stumbled to awaken his brother, Weiss plunged his hand to his stomach, and cast him aside. That's because he was Hojo, though. Let's just ask Google. What's up?
Oh, I don't know. I'm here, but I'll be right back in another minute. In a minute.
Okay. Being harassed?
Yep.
Okay.
By Angel. I mean the opposite.
You mean Voldemort?
Yeah. Well, Umbridge.
Umbridge, yeah. Okay.
Like the opposite of Lucrezia, basically.
Yes. Let's see. It's Sephiroth's brother. Let's see. There was something like Joffrey. Let me see if... What would it have been? Major supporting role.
Here, I'll send you this link.
Okay.
You can show it on stream.
Is it it's on a messenger you sent it?
I'm about to. Alright, Discord.
Okay, Discord, hold on. Disc.
About
This very thing?
Yeah. Huh?
About this very thing?
Yeah.
Which channel
Really?
did you do PM me?
No, in the general lobby.
Oh, general lobby? Oh, I had to scroll down. Question about Vincent. Here we go. What does it say? Is Nero his brother? That's a good question because I'm not sure if you notice, but Chaos, they both have like, well, I could pull up the scene if you want to see it real quick. What it is it's, just 1 second.
Well, just read the whole thread first.
Okay, yeah, well, I just want, yeah, so I'll read it, but then I was going to say I'll want to show you what might be important with that. Is Nero his brother? I thought of that too when I first played, but they have no relation. Nero's brother is Weiss. Okay. I was getting this vibe that he was Vincent's father. Okay, yeah, I could see that. Since Grimoire got killed by that black crap and Nero has the red eyes thing going on. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. The online scenes state that Nero was born in Deep Ground, though. Okay. And that he's Weiss's brother, and neither of the two are old enough to be Vincent's father. And with Vincent himself being around 60 at the time of Dirge of Cerberus, looks pretty good for the age of 60, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, he's like kind of immortal due to chaos. Plus, if I recall correctly, it's mentioned somewhere that Nero is in the 25 to 30 year range. So him being Vincent's brother or father doesn't really work out. Vincent's father died when Vincent was in his 20s, if I recall correctly. That's correct. I think it was like 25 or something. And Nero is roughly 30 years younger than Vincent, give or take a few years. The time frame of these events also makes him being Vincent's brother quite unlikely. Thanks. I seriously doubt that Weiss and Nero are brothers by blood. Yeah, I think it's a figurative brotherhood, personally. I don't think Weiss and Nero are brothers, really. Maybe they were told that because they're fucking grew up in a jail and they're just told that. But they said that Genesis was to become their brother. Yes, that's the part that we saw at the end of the thing. And, well, he had no blood relation. I think their use of the word brother would be better replaced with teammate or comrade. I agree. Weiss and Nero, most definitely brothers by blood. From the 10th century anniversary Ultimania, Nero appears in Dirge of Cerberus, gender male, height 175 centimeters, age 23, first person pronoun, Boku. Boku. Is that how you say it? Boku? Boku?
Boku.
Boku. Voice actor, Dirge of Cerberus, Ryorto. Okay, so they're talking about the subtitle. One's the actual Japanese actor. The Sviets, who swallows up everything using his body filled with the power of darkness. Nero the Sable. He was born when stagnant life stream was planted in an embryo, as the power in his hands endangered all around him. Yeah, because he sucks things up into the void. They were chained up a long time ago by Dirge of Deep Ground's overseers, and even now Having gained freedom, he keeps them like that. He is Weiss's brother, born from the same mother. Under the picture of Nero holding Weiss. Weiss, the brother whom Nero blindly loves. White Weiss and black Nero exist as two sides, as of the same body. See, that's the thing, is they merge at the end, because Nero's body was destroyed by when Hojo had gained control of Weiss, but then when Hojo lost control of Weiss's body, they merged. So that's, let me read that again. Weiss, the brother whom Nero blindly loves. White Weiss and black Nero exist as two sides of one and the same body. You see what I'm talking about with Vincent and Zack being the same?
Yeah.
Also,
Two sides of one and it's the same body, right? Kind of like the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I've been trying to put a word to Zack's body being given to Vincent, but the fact that it exists between Nero the Sable and Weiss, and that's the reason why I was saying Vincent could be a deep ground weapon, right? Because he has a beast form, just like all of them do. I mean, I guess the beast form for Nero is like this formless ethereal thing, right? It's not like Experiment 88, who like is like this beast on all fours, you know.
Yeah.
No, thank you for showing me this. I'm actually going to bookmark this. This is like a fair point. I think further just strengthens the point about the whole mind-body transfer, but it's actually a little bit more metaphysical in its explanation, which I think is good.
I wonder why like the ages of Vincent and Zack are so far apart. Why they decide that?
Well, and that's the whole thing. My question is, how does, like, is Vincent's memory is actually even his own? I mean, like, he doesn't even know his father, you know what I mean? Like, you get the sense that he was very distant from his father, but like he had a love for his father. You can tell because, you know, as soon as he finds out Lucrezia knew his father, like, he's all over that shit. Not in a way he's like, fuck that dead piece of shit, you know, he's like really cares about his father, but you can also tell they're like very separate though too. Wow, that's some cool info. I am, however, once again pissed they don't print a version in English. Yeah, same here. They probably knew better than me. But honestly, do you believe they'd be able to make some pretty decent cash if they printed in English? I should look at those Ultimata translations. I know that's something Sleepeasy did. I don't even know. I think it was like a project, like a fan project. I don't know if he paid them to translate it or how he got his hands on the translations of the Ultimania. And having an English version of the online mode would be pretty good too. Yeah, so Dirge Cerberus had like an online mode that had some additional background information, but seeing that Play Online is no longer online, ironically enough, it doesn't exist. Seeing as it fleshes out the villains of DOC a little bit more. If you don't watch the online mode, they might be kind of interesting. I personally think they're a little meh, you know, especially since we don't even really see Weiss as Weiss up until near the end. Let's see.
So what's like if Weiss and Nero are merged by the end, Genesis comes in, swoops him up to like wreak havoc and probably cause the downfall of humanity. Apparently it's the bad time.
Yeah, so here's the question. Could Weiss merge with Sephiroth or something? And actually, let's just say hypothetically, Sephiroth's father is Hojo, right? Like, so what if Weiss, I'm just saying a hypothetical, I'm just completely pulling this out of my ass. What if Weiss decides to merge with Sephiroth, and that'd make like a super god or something, I'm guessing. But it would be like, would it still be under Hojo's control? Because, like, you know, Weiss is not 100% there now. Like, even though he's absorbed, like, his brother Nero, like, he's got like 5 people living in his head or something, you know?
Yeah, if that never happens, it's like there's these routes that they could go. They could go like, it's like game over instantly or some crap like that.
Yeah. So let me show, I really wanted to show, just real quick, Scott, this.
Okay, be right back then.
Yep.
I really like going through these old forums because you never know like what kind of info you're gonna dig up.
How do I do this instead? We're gonna do this. Actually, I'll just do this. This is even faster. Go this way. Get pulled up that way. I know exactly where it's at too. It's roughly. Yeah, so this is where this is this is where Nero tries to pull Vincent into the void. He's got like a chaos power too. And people that don't have chaos, they just get sucked in the void and they can never get out. That's Nero's power. It's how Sonon dies in Intermission. FF7 Remake Intermission. He gets sucked in the void by Nero's void.
No, don't let chaos control you. You cannot be contained by this darkness. Because a part of you was born from it. Find yourself. Regain control.
And then you already... And, you know, in this scene, it's like he's two different people, right? Like, chaos is coming out of him. But I, like, wonder if Zack's body is, like, Vincent is merged. Like, because in this scene, he talks about dreams, like, and he reaches for Lucrezia. Let me turn this down a little bit. He reaches for Lucrezia, almost looks like Aerith. And if it's Zack's body memory, at least, then... See? That's Lucrezia, but she looks kind of like Aerith.
Yeah.
So he immediately says, was it a dream? Like, he's turned into beast form, but it's like something else is controlling him. Some other person.
What's happening?
He's looking at his hands like, is it even me? Kind of thing.
A dream?
Like, that's the reason why I think this is a very solid theory. It sounds super fringe and people are like I've had people like tell me to go fuck off with this theory, but like that's the reason why I decided to finally do a video, is like to do the additional research necessary to really present it. But then of course at the end we get to see the let's see. Actually that's father is over here. Yeah, here we go.
Have you played the demo yet?
Nope. I was planning on waiting until unless they're getting rid of the old one in replace of the... I think they're just releasing a second one on the 21st, so I plan on playing both of them, like, back to back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I haven't played it yet, either. I kind of was waiting for the game just to come out, I think.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it, dude. Did I tell you Best Buy canceled my order?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No.
so I lost my fucking pre-order, and I was pissed. And
Yeah.
you know what they told me is I got an email that says, your order was canceled due to not having billing information. I said, how's that possible when you already charged my fucking card? Are you serious?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, I cannot order the pre-order. You've like basically lost your pre-order. I'm like, what the fuck? So
You
yeah.
fuckers, dude.
Yeah, and so I talked to this guy. I actually recorded the online chat conversation. I said, you're not telling me something. You're not being honest about this. I said, how is it that I order a game on the 22nd of January and you tell me I have to pre-order for 2 weeks and then all of a sudden I don't have to pre-order? As it turns out, there's a whole story to that. I'll just show you really quickly. Reddit. Best Buy cancel remake. A bunch of people. It happened to so many people. Yeah, Best Buy just canceled refunded my pre-order. Same fucking thing happened to me. Exactly what the title says. I'm pissed. It's now sold out everywhere. Update. They are canceling all of them because they're adding duplicate seal books to all the orders instead of just deleting one. So you have to resubmit the order again. If you ordered from Square Enix, there's no cancel order button on the website. So you just have to email them and wait a week or so to cancel. So I don't know why they're talking about Square Enix also not having the steelbooks, but I ordered from Best Buy because I thought that's the way you get the steelbook. But as it turns out, there's a Best Buy special edition steelbook. And you know, I even told them, as I said, if it's an issue with the steelbook, I said, I'd like one if you have it, but don't fucking cancel my order because you can't give me the special pre-order bonus. I want to at least be able to play it on release. I said, you can always send me a steelbook later if you have one. But no, they just went ahead and canceled it. And so, yeah, dude, it was really pissed me off. So anyways, what ended up happening is I called the phone number and I got a completely different answer. So what happened is Best Buy, due to the Steelbook thing, they canceled a vast majority of the pre-orders.
I see.
Yeah, and I said, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? And they said, just go back on the website and order it again. They couldn't even
Yeah.
help me. They said, we can't turn a canceled order into like an active order again. You guys have to order it. And I'm like, fuck you guys. Like I said, the only way I'll get this game on release now is if I pay the scalpers like 200 or 300 bucks. Like, but anyways, she assured me up and down, as long as I order it right then and there, it would be fine. But since I wasn't trusting it, I've also ordered it from Square Enix's store, and I ordered overnight. So I might actually get the game 2 days before it comes out, because I think it's supposed to be delivered. But I just wanted to make sure I have it for the day of, or even if I get it early, I'll take advantage of that. But because of that, it's 150 bucks on Square Enix's store, and you can't cancel the order with Square Enix. So if I end up with a second copy, if you want it, you can have, take it off my hands. Great. Otherwise, I'm going to just return it or something. But I'd rather have my bases covered, because Best Buy has already fucked me once. Shame on me and shame on you. Like all in one fell swoop. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the chaos thing. You got to see it earlier, but it's the same like force shit. It's the same color and shit. It's that shit right there in that tube. So yeah, I mean, if Nero and Vincent are brothers, then that would actually make sense, because that would explain why, like how poetic, like
they merge together.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that means that Grimoire already used one of his sons as an experiment for Shinra, Nero, as part of Deep Crown. So maybe that's why he's apologetic to Vincent. Tell Vincent I'm sorry, because Nero was like already gone and taken as a person, because he turned into that monster, Nero. So maybe that's what he's apologetic for, is he realized that like he doesn't have a brother because of Grimoire, maybe. But I was just realizing if they are related. But yeah, I mean, if we pull them up for a second, Nero the Sable, Vincent Valentine, Rebirth.
I'm back, just listening.
Was there a secret ending for Dirge of Cerberus?
There was.
Apparently?
Yeah, that was at the end of the video, on my video. I can show it to you again, but it's a Valentine. Put it over here. By the way, dude, thanks for the keyboard and mouse. I use them the Bluetooth. It's so nice. It's really like a desktop too, not just a laptop. It helped a lot with making the video. Okay. Yep. I mean, you can see like there's striking resemblance. Like, but the question is, like, Zack has a striking resemblance too. Like, not sure if you saw some of them, but like Zack also has like certain, like especially Solo do Crisis or Zack Fair. Just not the high color, Actually, I'll do it this way. This is faster. Copy image address. I mean, to me, they're like, all seem to have like kind of a similar look. What if Angeal's the father and then talks about a perfect monster, right? His kids are all turning into monsters, like he's got one good kid. I don't know. I do think there's some relation, like not just based on look, but just like the themes of it too.
I mean, it's not like you're saying Sid is Vincent.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's a very, very fair point there you just made. Very professionally done. Okay, so what else should we talk about to just round this out? Basically, the bottom line is we talked about before there's love lists. I think this is a good like amount. This was like we've been going since 3:00, and we had technical difficulties for like the first hour and a half. So that means 4, 6:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. Yes, we've been going over a little over 3 hours. So, what do you guys think? Is there any other theory things you guys want to talk about? Otherwise, we can end this, and I'll turn this into a video that I'll add to like a playlist on YouTube. This is like the commentary from the first live stream party. And if we want to do like another crack at it, I do think we need to let people know ahead of time, and maybe Blitz will actually get back to us. I don't know if he's even interested. Or if this will just through simple osmosis get out to the fan theorist community.
I think so, because he's like, even if he was like interested, it's like he can't even like bother pretty much because he works on all of his projects alone. Doesn't have a video editor or anything, and yet he's
Gotcha.
like a massively growing YouTuber.
Didn't he just get over like 100,000 subscribers not too long ago? Or has he had like the 20 or 30,000?
Let me see. Blitz. YouTube 126,000 followers and subscribers. Let's see.
Oh, sorry, I meant followers. Well, I guess they're not the same thing.
Yeah, it's weird because like Google.com says followers, and then I go to YouTube itself and it says subscribers. It's like literally because like if you're on YouTube all day, it says subscribers, blah blah. No one ever says followers, but apparently Google.com sees them as followers.
Yeah. I'm trying to so what I need to do is I need to figure out how to get the Final Cut Pro stuff into Final Cut Pro on this new computer. Once I do that, I think like I said, let me see if there's an extension while I still have you guys here. If there's an extension kind of like YouTube DLP but for Twitch, or if we can use YouTube DLP for Twitch. Or do you know if you can just download one of your previous streams off of Twitch? How to download
Should be able to from the
quality
dashboard.
Oh, from Twitch's dashboard?
Yeah, the profiles dashboard.
So I'll say Twitch dashboard download live.
I still have my Bloodborne playthrough from like 5 years ago on my computer. I downloaded them.
Well, let me first navigate there. Let me. I don't want to give people away my stream key or anything, so let me just do this real quick. I'm just gonna put it off to the side so I can do it real quick. Okay. Let's see. Here your dashboard. Which obviously I have to end the video before it becomes like an actual one, but I'm just curious about other ones too. Let's see.
I have to wonder if Twitch is gonna claim some like Advent children part of the stream or something.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, I'm kind of conflicted. I'm wondering if it is an issue. I can obviously strip out that section. I mean, I only used like a minute and a half of Advent children. It was the scene with and they were complaining about the music, actually, not even about the scene. They were complaining about the music where he's drinking apparently that's like some Japanese rock band or something. I don't know. I can show you what it says about it. It says, hold on, let me bring it up. YouTube. I'll show you what it's not a copyright strike. There's no claim on it. It's just that it's just saying there's copyrighted material, and that's the copyrighted material it's talking about. Just give me 1 second. Pull up the video. You can take a look. I have to click on copyright. That's how you get to it. The details. Yeah, here we go. I'll put it back on the screen so you can see it. So what it is they're talking about ... Let me see if I'm just going to move the frame into that frame. I don't know. I had to do that. Yeah, so this one. This is what it has to say about copyright. It says FF7 Volume 2. Let's Google part of that or some of that. It says no impact. If you become a member of the YouTube Partner Program, this claim may affect your ability to monetize the video. So it's only would affect monetization, which I'm not doing yet.
Right.
Let me get rid of the AAC. Let me just do quotes. Put quotes around this. The results. Okay. Maybe just get rid of the AAC. Just do this part. Yeah, it's this. It's the music, right? Do, do, do.
いう言葉で程度なんで。
ものですっていう。
それは使っていいんだよ。
ですよね。
Let me just translate. Let's translate it first and see what the fuck it is. Japanese to English. Main volume. Oh. So it's part of the soundtrack. Yeah, it's the music, it's not some artist, it's just part of the soundtrack for the game.
Yeah.
That's what I was complaining about. That
I
music.
already have to drop off.
Yeah.
For the night, but
No, well, thank you for everything, both of you. Like I said, this video, I'm not trying to overstate things. Like really, Scott, if it wasn't for, like I said, the M1 and now the M1 Pro, like thank you so much for that, man. I really appreciate it. And then of course, yeah, Audity Keith, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Wow. Well, I could stay around I wanted to talk a little bit more, but I didn't want to keep solewrecker up.
Yeah, that's cool. So we'll let you go, Soul. But yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And
yeah,
we're
let me know when the next watch party is, and I'll jump on.
Sounds
too.
good. Which day works best? Is a Sunday thing in the afternoon work well for both of you, universally, or
Which Sunday, or like next Sunday you thinking, or Sunday after?
Yeah, like I'm thinking we're gonna do another watch party sometime before release. So let's just look at the calendar here. I'm looking at the calendar. So today's the 11th. So we have basically either the 18th or the 25th. But Audity, what's the story, man? Do you work on Sundays, or is your schedule different every week?
I'm going to check right now. It's different every week.
Okay.
I think I usually have Sunday on, like in the evening. Well, I used to not to, and then I did. Now I don't anymore. But then the next week might be different, so I'm checking now on my slow phone that I need to upgrade.
Yeah. So the plan is I want to make this stuff we did here tonight another video. Like just, I'll go through and just like, if there's silence and stuff, condense it down. And then just be like, this was the first watch party. This is a live stream number 1, like addendum to that video. And then maybe we'll have a second one. I don't know if I have it in me, but if I have it in me, then I think Audity and I will start working on Loveless analysis or something, or more, or if our conversations go somewhere where we really feel like we have it with like some other Rebirth theory stuff. The only problem is I don't think we'll get I don't think we'll get the video out in time, unless we might as well start focusing on Reunion, because I don't think we'll get it out before Rebirth at this point. It took me, I'm not saying it's going to be as complicated or as long of a video, but just when we go from concept to execution, it takes some time.
When we start it, we can start it at least. Then when the game comes out, we can go through all that and have even good stuff to add on it.
Yeah, so maybe it won't be a waste of time because it's still developing an idea that they're probably there are themes, right, that like are threads.
Right.
That follow all the way to the end, like the
they'll
live
do
stream.
stuff with it probably, and then there might be some like stuff that they go over or something.
Yeah. So 21st, 22nd. I guess I'll maybe play the demos if I want. Otherwise, I might take a page out of your book, Soul, with just one way or another. I'm gonna play the game at release. We'll see if I play the demo stuff, but if I do, I'll live stream it. So.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll catch you guys later.
I actually have Monday off and Saturday off, and Friday, Saturday, and Monday, but not Sunday evening.
This next weekend?
Yeah.
So you said Friday, what?
Friday, Saturday, and Monday.
Friday, Saturday.
Are off.
Okay, so yeah, if we were to do Friday, which day's better for you, Scott? Otherwise, what we could do is we could wait a little bit longer to do another watch party. I want to make sure that we have it out there, and hopefully this video will get a little bit more traction, especially if I put up this addendum like analysis as related.
Weekends are always pretty good. I could do pretty much any day, but yeah, weekends. Next Saturday I'll be busy, but after that, next Sunday,
okay,
fine.
So why don't we not do it the 16th? Oddity, you don't have the week after yet, your schedule, right?
I do. Hold on.
Okay, yeah. So tell us what you're doing the weekend of 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th.
Friday's off on the 23rd.
Okay.
My app froze. Go figure. Hold on. I think I finally got it back. Loading, last load. Load. Please wait. Oh, yeah, the 25th and 26th are both evenings.
Okay, so I think we should just maybe plan for a Friday. That gives us over a week. And I think if you don't mind spending some effort just sharing the video to try to get it out there, especially if I place an addendum with it, we could maybe post the addendum with it, more analysis. Like
So
post.
the 23rd?
Yeah, I think let's just tentatively plan for the 23rd. Does that sound all right, guys?
Yeah.
And then that way there's a little bit of time before Rebirth, so we have a little bit of breathing room to just kind of sit back, maybe do some more analysis, or just wait for Rebirth to come out and play Rebirth, and then we can come up with some other ideas.
I mean, hopefully I don't have
Sounds good to me.
I have a lot of
Yeah.
days
Okay.
leading up to Friday, and okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll cut you guys later. Just
Yep, sounds good.
message me.
Okay, sounds good. See ya, Soul.
See you guys.
What the heck? Okay.
All right. So, what other aspects did we want to talk about? I think you already heard about Nero merging with Weiss, and Nero is, we say Nero's brother is actually Weiss, I guess, according to Ultimania, but there's some indication since Nero has the same ability as, and as you know, like the person that discovered chaos would have been Grimoire, right? Like, I see a parallel between, like, Nero, if there's a relationship between Grimoire and Nero, like, there's a Grimoire Nero as there's a Vincent and the Lucrezia, But actually, I guess, indirectly, Grimoire, because Grimoire helped discover chaos along with Omega, and the proto-material, Lucrezia and Grimoire. But then, of course, there's a whole Angeal thing where they look alike, so whatever. So I think, well, let's talk some more. But I was just going to say, let me look real quick because I'm curious. Twitch, download, past broadcast. I'm going to say, export or import YouTube adapt, like the video for YouTube. Video on demand. The best ways to download Twitch VODs. Here we go.
If you're anything like me,
that's what they're called, right? Like when it's a past broadcast, is it just a VOD automatically?
Yeah. Well, I mean, past broadcast, it's a VOD until it expires and it gets deleted.
Okay, yeah. So it is the same thing. It's just once it's expired, it's no longer a VOD. Doesn't exist unless you highlight it. Okay.
Yeah.
You have watched a lot of.
What's that?
I guess it's a highlight, and then it's also a VOD, technically.
Yeah, as a highlight. It seems like there's just got to be a way that you could just go in and just do like a YouTube DLP. I'm going to see if there's a Python script. Python.
Well, I mean, if you go to Video Manager.
Right, but you're saying I have to enable like past broadcasts and all this other shit, right?
Well, didn't you already have that enabled?
Like, I don't think so. Let's take a look. I don't think so, though. No.
But you've highlighted videos in the past, and that requires having that checked.
All right.
Where do I go to? Settings, is it?
And well, I don't know where he went. Just go to Video Producer. Or Settings first. I don't know.
Video Producer. Okay, so where's Video Producer? Stream Manager?
Not there. I mean,
stream together? I don't know.
Well, you wanted to find the check mark that he had on his video first.
That's where I was going. Hold on, let me go back this way. Okay, so I was going to go to settings, right?
Video Producer, you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I literally just had the, there we go.
Okay. Then I can download it here. ... Add to highlight. I highlight it.
Oh, that's weird. Mine says download. Well, you can't download it yet because it's broadcasting. You have to go to another one, the VOD.
Oh, okay. So once it's done, I can download it.
Yeah, just do the second dots. There.
I'll just try downloading this one just to see. I wonder if I have to remux this fucker or not. If I can just bring it into Final Cut Pro.
Oh. Oy.
Okay, that was the buffering issue. So I was like, what the fuck is this? Okay, I see. Okay, so I'm gonna go downloads here. Let's see what the hell. It's an MP4, which is good. Let me just see if I can import it into, well, I have to first figure out what I'm doing with Final Cut Pro first. I want to get that like working again to make sure the caches and stuff. So I'll look into it. Okay, so basically that's the way to go about it. Looks like. Let me just go back to the, see what else he has
So
to say.
the Let's Play Some SNES Classic on the top is actually the theory video, right?
Yes. You see,
Yeah.
it keeps fucking changing the name of it. I don't know what the fuck, dude. I did not change it like that. It just keeps fucking changing it back. So that's the thing I hate about OBS is you go into OBS and this problem's existed for such a long period of time.
Yeah.
I could show you, it doesn't really matter, but if I go into OBS, it has the current information, the live stream, but then like it's a Donkey Kong Country earlier too.
Is that because Elgato is messing around with it?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Not Elgato, but OBS. I don't use the Elgato client. I just use OBS.
Oh, okay.
It's really annoying, but OBS I'm not sure if it's a Mac issue or if it's just OBS in general. Maybe I shouldn't do OBS. Maybe I should need to download OBS Studio because OBS is a piece of shit. I guess I'll do OBS Studio from now on because
I have OBS Studio 64-bit.
let me see what it says. Let's see if it's OBS that's open right now or OBS Studio. About OBS. It is OBS Studio. I don't know. They have different versions of OBS. Like they have certain forks of OBS that are like Streamlabs and shit. I should just use a different one because the main OBS one's just shit. This I'm not trying to be fucking derogatory, but this fucking shit has existed for 10 years. Like seriously, this has been going on for a long time. And Mac's OBS is fucking ridiculous. Whether it exists on the PC version, I don't know. Because right now, you just go to downloads, and I'll just drag it into my browser, and you'll be able, or not downloads, sorry, desktop, and I'll just drag it into my, and you'll be able to see it that way. Like the easiest way to do it. Yeah, so it's that one. So let me just go here, and then go desktop. Yep, I'll drag this thing. Yep. You see at the top left? There it is. Right information. I've hit update like a bazillion times and
Yeah.
it just keeps reverting it. So, and like, I'm curious if other people come on OBS, Studio, Mac, Twitch. What is that section called? Let me go back to the screenshot. Stream information reverting. Keeps reverting. Stream info not updating when I stream. Yep. This bug has existed fucking forever. You're watching your stream back in a browser, refreshing the page. Remember to click the done after changing the name as well. I would frequently change the TOS and forget to actually apply. No, oh my God, yep. Wasn't hitting the done button because I was still highlighted. Thank you. You don't need to explain anything about the process to follow, update your stream host. So how could anyone possibly tell you you do it wrong? You can always change the title. I do hit the done button. I hit the done button like 5 times, so that's definitely not it. Stream information has to be reset every time I open OBS. After a recent stream elements update, the stream information dock will not pop up unless I sign in over. That's not the same issue. Reverting previous settings. There we go. Yep, pretty much the same thing. I've made a couple of scenes instant replay, but I start the PC back up. Scenes are gone. That's not the same thing. I'll get rid of keep. So I'm just going to say reverting. It's been going on forever. All right, well, let's forget about it. At least I know what to do the highlight. And it's the next thing I'll work on. That won't be that big of a project. So what else do we want to discuss in terms of theory, I guess? Is there anything else? Well, I'm getting pretty tired, so If there was some other part of the theory you wanted to talk about, we can. But otherwise, I'm pretty spent, my friend. I think it's time for me to go. Mic stopped working. Oh, okay. Well, I think we should take that as the bow, even though it's working. Did you accidentally hit the button on the side? Yeah, there's a little switch. Did that get knocked or something? Weird that it'll stop. The talk in green happens. Right, but maybe unplug the XLR and plug it back in. Or maybe your audio interface, your Focusrite needs to be like unplugged from the computer and plugged back in, maybe. Yeah, I can't hear.
Hello.
There you go. Yep, I hear you now. What happened?
I have no fucking idea.
Just unplug it and plug it back in?
No, I just disconnected the chat and then went back into it.
Oh, weird. So it must have been like a Discord thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, weirdly enough, Twitch was acting up, but your Twitch stream was gone. And then like I think twitch.com and just like twitch.tv was just messing up entirely.
Huh.
And then I don't know.
It was like
anyway,
a little internet brownout or something. I don't know.
There's this one thing I wanted to talk about. Did you see the comment on your video?
Oh, was that the guy that was sarcastic? He like that. There was a one comment on the video already. Is that the one you're talking about?
The fighting a force seemingly as big as communism.
Yeah.
They're literally, yeah.
No, and he didn't. He completely ignores that. I also mentioned the word fascism.
Yeah.
Right. Like fascism is. I said seemingly as big as communism and/or fascism. And if you look up fascism, I mean, I could totally school that guy if I wanted to. Fascism is basically a far-right authoritarian political ideology movement characterized by dictator leader, militarism, forcible suppression. Like, look, capitalism, capitalism, fascism, America's oligarchy has paved way into the road of fascism. Fascism, a government phenomenon, arises during capital crisis. So when I think of the word fascism, I think the United States has become fascist because corporations run America. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's not the right term, but that's what I've always associated with fascism. The men, the money, and the myth. What's this? Fascism is capitalism plus murder. Yeah. I mean, I think of fascism as associated with capitalism. So I love how he focused just purely on one side of it, like completely ignored. Like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to even engage with that. I might just delete that comment or something, or just leave it there and just let him get schooled or something.
Yeah.
I think it's just being a dick, right? Like that, like he's just posted that to be a dick, not because like he had any problems with my theory, right? He'd be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about with Vincent, you piece of shit. But instead, he's like going to come after me about me saying communism. Oh, people.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just hyper focusing on whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that the only comment?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to comment myself, not on there, but here. It stopped, the view count stops at 98, maybe. I think maybe if more people like the video, YouTube literally depends on the likes. Like they'll literally stop like the algorithm or some kind of thing regarding the views going up more if
people are not liking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about
Something
that,
like that.
you know.
I mean, we'll see in the morning or so. Maybe it'll go past 98.
Let's see what this guy's content
Yeah,
is.
I already looked at that.
And the other thing I said too is I said seemingly as big. I didn't say it was communism. I just said seemingly as big.
Yeah.
Not only that, but here's the thing. If you don't want to tell me that Rufus Shinra and the whole Junin situation, it was not inspired by Nazi Germany, then I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right? Like,
yeah.
Like the whole, hold on. Rufus, Shinra, Rebirth. I'll just see if I can find that scene. Yeah, the whole Junin thing. There was a ton more red in the OG. I guess I have to type in OG FF7 now because We have a now updated game. Junin. I mean, that's like, yeah, here we go. I mean, that's like Nazi party, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I associate. Like, anyways, it's fine. He has the right to his opinion. I just think that he's off base because he's completely missed the part I said about fascism, and he's not seen the imagery at all. Like Heidegger, totally like Heidegger, FF7, like Nazi general. I mean, that's Nazi general. Right? That's what I see, at least. Maybe not exactly the same uniform, but pretty similar. Oh, anyways. Well, at least he commented. You know, at least it's getting a comment. I guess I can't complain. My first comment is like, I mean, he has the right to his opinion, but it's just funny because, like, he completely missed the whole point of what else I said, but that's okay. But yeah, I did see the comment. I was just like, oh, forget about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was thinking like I could write back and say, oh, well, you completely ignored me mentioning fascism and dissociation, so whatever.
I guess the only thing I really wanted to cover more was like the first stanzas of Loveless, but that's just, you have to wait till the entire thing, I guess.
Well, let's just see if there's anything else that comes to mind right quick.
Because like I just started in the middle of Act 1 rather than prologue today, and I kind of just like, while it was good, I guess Scott would have found like more context if I started at the very beginning.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is while you were feeding the dogs, Act 5, or sorry, not Act 5, sorry, Act 3 at the end, my soul corrupted by vengeance hath endured torment to find the end of the journey and my own salvation and your eternal slumber. So I don't know if that's Angeal. Like when I think of eternal slumber, I either think of Weiss or I think of Vincent, right? Like Vincent slept for like 30 years or whatever, right? Supposedly.
Yeah.
In my own salvation, well, I think Zack got saved by dying. You know, he says, those wings, I want them too, right? He wants to be a hero. And he saw his hero die right in front of him, right? So like him dying is like still like an honorable thing, right?
So I guess Act 1 is just like a sequel to the prologue, and then it outlines everything that's going to happen. And so maybe Act 2, 3, and 4 are the three brothers or whatever.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Because those have, I mean, the Act 1 has 2 stanzas, but that's just bringing everything into view.
That's interesting.
And then 2, 3, and 4 have the things.
Yeah, so another fucking ad. God, they're really
Don't you have like uBlock Origin or whatever that is?
I don't. This is I'm using Safari. It's for Mac.
Safari.
Yeah. Okay. These fucking ads, dude. Like, fuck you guys. Jeez. That's one thing I do not like about fandom. Fandom's an amazing resource, but then they just have a bunch of shit on there. Okay. So I like your thought you have going here. Let's think about this. Okay, so let's say the three brothers, we don't know who the third is, but let's just say it's Genesis and Weiss at this point, per the end of Dirge of Cerberus. And that leads to a rebirth. That leads to a regenesis, okay? Like a new creation.
So with the three brothers, they don't have like a father and a mother, or do they?
No, I mean, they don't know who their father or mother is because Shinra basically, it's almost like, have you ever seen the Bourne Ultimatum? Or like the Bourne Supremacy? Okay, well, the Jason Bourne, you know, it's more than a trilogy. I think they're like 4 or 5 movies or something. There might be only 3, but Jason Bourne is basically a kid that's raised by the government to be an assassin. And I see really Deep Ground and all that is exactly the same. They don't have parents. Let's actually just see if anyone else has mentioned that. Deep Ground, Weiss, Nero. What was the third one? Oh, Zool. Parents. Let's see if it mentions who the parents are. Probably not, but parent. Okay, let me do plus parent then if it's not. Yeah, nothing found. So let's do plus parent. Let's just say mother or father plus mother. Mother. Okay. Emperor is a male monarch. Etymology and symbolism. Oh, okay. That's just the origin of the name. Etymology, symbolism. May indicate emperor's wife, empress consort, mother, empress, dowager, and woman who rules in her own right, empress regnant. Emperors are generally recognized to be a higher honor and rank than kings. They are generally the highest temporal political rank honor in existence, unlike other characters who use archaic form of cotil. Cote. Weiss uses the term below. Teo, yeah. Okay, so let's just look up the Sviets because that's what they're referred to. So let's just look up. So we'll say Sviets. Parents. Sviets. The Sviets are an elite group of soldiers that led the Deep Ground Army in Dirge of Cerberus in Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Complete Guide. It was revealed that the colored Sviets have their genes spliced with the genes of Genesis Rhapsodos. Okay, so in other words, they're genetics experiments. They don't have parents, right? In the general sense. They probably have like an egg donor or something, but and like sperm and all that, but they're all gene spliced.
Yeah.
Sharing of Genesis genetic information is what makes the Sviets the hellspawn of Jillian. It's applied during Dirge of Cerberus that all of the Sviets except for Sheik is possibly Weiss due to Genesis comments in retrieving Weiss's body have died. Only 5 colored Sviets and 4 uncolored Sviets are known. Those Sviets: Shelk the Transparent, Rosa the Crimson, Azul the Cerulean, Nero the Sable, Weiss the Immaculate. What's Argento? That's from an older game. Cerberus. So apparently that scene's in Dirge of Cerberus, I think. I don't remember that in the cutscene somewhere. Human. Type non-playable character, Tetsunomura. Argento is the Italian word for silver. See, they use the Italian word for silver. It's like crisis core, body crisis, right? Like they do that kind of shit. So I don't think I'm completely off. Player Sviet is an uncolored Sviet that's only available in the Japanese multiplayer mode. He or she is set apart from the Dirge of Cerberus soldiers and false Sviets because he or she did not have the brain chip implanted that stopped others from defying restrictors. She also seems to be known in her restrictor form. Restrictors appear on online multiplayer mod of Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII. They are members of the 14th Soldier Force, Lost Force, and former leaders of the Deep Ground before Weiss. Okay, so they were the forerunners to Deep Ground before Weiss and the Sviets were in. So the restrictors were the forerunners to the Sviets, I guess, is what they're saying, right? That's what I take it as. Although many are hinted at it, only one known member of the group was ever seen. The leader, simply called the Restrictor. Nobody is sure who or what lies behind the mask. Oh, dude, that's definitely Zack. I'm just joking.
Yep.
They look like tormentors or something. They look like either Final Fantasy 12 characters or, or they look like Harry Potter, like tormentors, right? I think that's what they're called, right?
Not sure.
Tormentors. Let me see. Dementors. Sorry, Dementors.
Oh.
I'm not in that much into Harry Potter, but I'm pretty sure that's.
I
Hello?
thought those were like I thought those were the whispers.
Oh, I guess they are whispers. Okay, I'm just mistaken, but yeah, you're right. Never mind. No, they're whispers. Harry Potter style. Final Fantasy style. They have 120,000 images in the database, dude. Look at that. But only a few. Okay. So let's go back.
Yeah, it seems like almost like Dirge's Cerberus could have its own like spin-off of games, but like I don't know how much they're going to go into the Rebirth and Reunion regarding Deep Ground.
Yeah. Deep Ground does exist during the events of Final Fantasy VII, but the group does not surface until much later. At the same time, Shinra headquarters was built in 1976 in FF7's timeline, and I think it's the year 2000 when they do the bombing missions. Shit, I'm pretty sure. Facility was established at the Maker Reactor. I think they meant Mako Reactor. I think that auto completed. The secretive facility served two purposes: as a source of power for the headquarters and experimental lab for wounded soldiers. The only members of Shinra that know about Deep Ground are the top executives: Heidegger, Scarlet, President Shinra, and Hojo. Yeah, of course I knew Hojo. I realized that. Not even the Turks know the existence of Deep Ground. So you see, that's the reason why I think the Turks were trying to save Zack, because that's the reason why I say the Shinra military works for Hojo, right? And
Yeah.
Deep Ground and stuff is like Deep Ground's like an extension. So I think that's accurate.
Maybe Song might know about Deep Ground, but doesn't say anything.
Yeah, it could be, because all he knows, he says, like, save Zack's life. He knows he's in trouble. Like, he knows he's in danger. So I think it's with him being the head of the Turks, you know, and then he probably definitely knows. And before it was Son, it was Verdot. We never meet Verdot, Turk. But there's Verdot. This is Verdot. He was the head of the Turks before Sun was. This was in before Crisis, I think. From the day that I killed what was left of my emotions and focused on my work was the only way I could forget what had happened. I lost my family. The only thing that I could lean in on after was the Turks. I don't want you to become like me. That's why I do this. Verdot, also known as Veld, is the leader of the Turks before Crisis. The official Shinra Electric Power Company title is the head of the Department of Administrative Research, which is what Sun's position is. He talks about that in the anime. Particular on matters relating to succeeding in missions and unforgiving when it comes to failure. Though many of his subordinates are intimidated by Verdot's severity, they deeply respect him. After disaster and calm caused by his commands, his commands, Verdot's family was killed and lost his arm. He replaced it with a prosthetic with a materia inside it. Hot. So he could continue to fight alongside his Turks. Oh yeah, look at Before Crisis. Cell phone graphics, man. Awesome. I don't think we missed much on the Before Crisis thing. I don't think there's any major plot points, but I'm kind of impressed with these beds, though. Those beds look pretty good for a fucking phone. Probably pre-rendered, though. Probably like handle it like Donkey Kong Country style, you know, pre-rendered shit.
Before Crisis.
A red YouTube? A ready a Ruru? That's another game I have to play, dude. I haven't even started, really. I need to just like fucking. That's a long ass game. There's a lot of gameplay in there, right? Remind me, Star Ocean. Like it's a fucking big game.
And they changed a lot, like the whole like talent system, or not talent, but like there's like battle determination points or some shit that are like completely changed terminology and function. So you can't really like go on to guides. I'm sure people have written guides now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I'm concerned about, like with Star Ocean is like, if I just played it like more casually, I think it'd be easier, but like I'm afraid like I'm gonna make the wrong private actions and I won't get certain heroes. And like even though they give us like 20 slots or whatever, like it's still easy to fuck up. Like
I mean, technically all you need is Claude and Reyna.
Are they the like dream team?
Yeah, well, like I mean, you can decline every other party member.
Oh yeah, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like in terms of
like the opposite of that, or something towards the opposite of solo two solo people.
Yep. Oh man, I'm getting tired. Let's see. Hold on. What else? So we were looking at something, and then I went down the. Here we go. This is interesting. It talks about Vincent Valentine's father. Let's see what this says. Under the restrictors, more and more troops were set into deep ground against their will and assigned into ranks, with Sviet being the best of the best. It was also important to note that the Sviets were, in part, created through research of Vincent Valentine's father. Okay, that's the reason why he's sorry to Vincent then. Is if Nero the Sable is his brother, then that would make sense, right? Because it means that Grimoire Valentine was like a Hojo for, like, not as evil as Hojo, but kind of like.
Right.
Eventually, the Sviets, led by Weiss, the Immaculate, overthrew the restrictors and took control of Deep Ground because everyone loves research prison labs and living there and never seen a window. And at the end of Crisis Core, the Sviets recover Genesis and help him reform to get back to full health. Yes, and we show that scene. Where is it? Hold on. On that particular topic. Let me just put this down so I'm at. Yeah, me too. I'm feeling it, man.
Definitely need to have like a flow chart of like all the important stuff. Like apparently before Crisis is not important, but everything after that or something.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I said first to talk about the Deep Ground brothers, but it's like it's getting really close. It's like, but first the two timelines. Yeah, here we go. What were we just talking about 2 seconds ago?
Genesis? I don't know.
Oh yeah, the scene where they pick him up. So I think it's rather the universe to the left is Deep Ground Brothers is after this, I think. 17 roles for Vincent.
That's right.
Which is Latin for red, would be ruby weapon. Gritty, which is rebirth and then reunion, as normal. What is rebirth with regards to the other characters? In my own view, Remake's retconning of character death, along with the aforementioned theory, extends to other characters. Is death really the end of one's story? Finally, when it comes to just general rebirth theory, I believe when a character dies, they wake up on the alternative timeline. Therefore, I believe that Aerith will still die, as it was in the original as well as Remake's timeline. On the alternative timeline, however, she will awaken. As etc., I believe she's able to die, as it was in the original as well. In relation to Remake's world, and gassed with the birth of Aerith. Far and
it's the love list section. So I have the love section. So hold on.
And leave the rest of the triads for you to consider and decide on their respective assignments. During my analysis, my mind was blown using the base scaffolding.
Deep Ground, here we go.
With the birth of Vincent. Although I did come across a fandom page for Isabella Vincent, supposedly Vincent's mother, but the article is not canon and I cannot confirm this detail. And finally, Ilfana and Gast, with the birth of Aerith. Of course, there are also the various love triangles and triads. From these two pieces of key art superimposed, we're already well aware of the love dynamics between these characters. And finally, leading into a perfect segue to the end of this video, the new Deep Ground brothers, Weiss the Immaculate, Nero, and Genesis.
So you see how they're wearing first-class soldier uniforms? They haven't been turned into like... So that's the reason why Hojo says they only come around once every 2 years or so. That's how he's able to form new Deep Ground.
Experiment? Me?
Never mind. Just make your way to the settings War.
So
By the
what
by,
did Grimoire
I have
do
an
if
extra
he was the
special
head
program you
of
can find.
Deep Ground or Rebirth before
Interested?
Hojo?
Extra special
Like
The
Hojo,
extra special program he's talking about is Deep Ground, right? Because that scene I just showed you, they were first class soldiers turned into Deep Ground weapons. So that's the reason why I think he's Vincent, is because, you know, like there's the Nero and Weiss merging too. That's something I didn't mention in the video, but what were you saying just a second ago?
I don't know. Oh, Grimoire like died, and like we suspect that Hojo killed him.
Yeah.
And then Hojo took over Deep Ground, basically.
Actually, that's actually a really good point. That could be the motive for why he killed him. Yeah, you're right. Well, we're recording all this, and this is like all going to go in the video. I'm just going to like condense down the parts where we're not talking about shit and turn this into an addendum video. So this is like all really, really good shit. Like I think everything we've talked about, and I want to get to the part where he talks about only every 2 years or so that he sees someone like as powerful as Zack, that we're gonna see this come to fruition. The questions are going to be as far as him being Vincent, like the merging of the two characters or not. But given
go ahead.
Given what happened, and I'm glad that I mentioned Deep Ground in this section, because it really does show that I saw that pattern early on. It's just I didn't take it one step beyond like you did. Let me see if this is what he says here.
Some data I designed on a lark that displays power inconceivable in reality.
I believe this is a reference to Deep Ground.
Professor Hojo, you can't possibly mean to use that data on a human.
Not that one. It's way too dangerous.
It would be a worthy opponent for a first-rate operative. Such as yourself.
And his remains will be going into Deep Ground.
Don't do this.
What'd you say?
Or his remains would be going into Deep Ground.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So here's the things we don't know. He was experimented on for 4 to 5 years. Was he really just keeping him in a tube? You know?
That program is way too dangerous.
I agree. It may cost
I don't know.
Well, I'll just show you the part of what Hojo says here.
you your life. I'm not exaggerating.
This is most unexpected. Wait.
And Hojo has this giant lab. It's not like he's using it for no
formulated a
reason.
new
He's like a methodical
hypothesis.
person about like who he's talking to, what like Zack at the moment.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact I connected Hojo and Vincent, like at when Vincent's fighting Hojo, who's Weiss at the end, there really is a connection between these two for sure.
You were saying something about my remains?
Yes. My knowledge, ability, and inspiration have forged a new path. You and I will share a special relationship.
Did you...
So it's early. It's early on.
From a soldier operative's combat results.
So I think even if every single
Now
word
we
that we speak is the absolute truth according to the highest supreme being, if there's like not enough people, like there's like people coming and going, and so like they're just like catching a glimpse of this, and they're not really that interested, just for the sole fact that there's like no one here, even if like they're witnessing the greatest thing ever since sliced bread or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Here we go. I think it's right here where he says it every 2 years or so. Samples like you only appear every 2 years or so.
Activating combat mode.
Off again.
Or maybe I'm just playing better
So like
than
during
your
all the
data?
experiments, it's like, okay, here's a failed experiment, here's a failed experiment, and like every 2 years there's like a good, worthy experiment.
Exactly, yeah.
To make such a bold claim, you need to provide more solid data. Fight this next monster and prove your superiority to me. This is impossible. Were the settings off yet again?
You see? That's what Soldier can do.
Second-rate soldier, maybe. No, third-rate. If you truly are first-rate, then fight my next data. Prove to me that you can win. This is impossible. Were the settings off yet again?
You see? That's what soldier can do.
Second-rate soldier, maybe. No, third-rate. If you truly are first-rate...
Here we go. Yeah, it's right here. He says it.
...that you have the talent to become a fine study sample.
Not really a talent I want.
You should be proud. Samples like you only appear every 2 years or so. Yay.
Yeah, so it's right there. Yep. So obviously that's the reason why they had the intermission with Yuffie with Deep Ground to bring Deep Ground into the game earlier, you know?
Yeah. Because like Yuffie has a tie to both Zack and Vincent.
Yeah, and that's something I didn't even have time or
Yeah.
that much interest to add is that Zack and let's see if I can find the scene on YouTube. So what it is it's Yuffie, Crisis, Core, Zack saves. I think it's, let's see, hold on. Here, save, not save point. Let me just type in Yuffie. So Zack saves Yuffie. Zack saves Yuffie. Four more, that's it. Okay, let me just get rid of the quotes and then I'll just say Zack, Yuffie, Crisis Core. Someone's playthrough, Crisis, or like chapter. See if it's the complete thing or not.
One, Wu-Tai at all here.
Boy, that's a lot of energy.
All Yuffie missions cutscenes. Here we go. Yeah.
All right. Looks like that's the last of the month.
3. Make way, cause here she comes. I, the treasure princess. Hear me roar.
Hey, you're that weird kid I met in Wu-Tai.
Sucker. What were you expecting, you soldier perv?
What? I'm no sucker, and I'm certainly no perv. My name is Zack. So, what are you, lost or something? You want me to take you home?
I'm not lost. I'm here to take your treasure, all of it, for the glory of Wu-Tai. Get ready.
Hey, why don't you just admit that you're lost? Be honest.
Treasure quest failed.
Wait, I made her cry? Did I do something wrong? Should I have humored her little game a bit more? Also, who? Little brat. I feel bad for making her cry. She can do whatever.
The treasure princess is here at last.
Yes, at last.
Wu-Tai's goats, ninja. Yuffie Kisaragi.
Hey, you, stop doing this. You could get hurt. I'm humoring you, but not everyone is as understanding.
Silence! For Wu-Tai's glory, I'm taking all your treasure. Get ready!
Okay, fine. You steal treasure, but you should really work on your technique. You're still too green to take anything from me.
Treasure quest failed.
Run away crying.
You know, if you have to steal, develop better methods. Oh, great. I made her cry again. Well then, I'll have to play along again. Oh. How did she get my mail address?
It's called blackmail.
1. Wutai's woes weigh heavily. 2. Endless trading weighs heavier.
Yes, it's all very do.
Hey, what gives? Just take your phone out of your pocket and... Hey, what gives?
Sorry, but no dice. You thought you could steal something from me while I was busy looking at my phone, didn't you? I'm not falling for that. So, how did you get it? My mail address? You will tell me this time.
Treasure quest failed.
Man, she really can't turn it on like a faucet. Hey, I never learned how she got my mail address.
If you want to get that item, leave 100 gil.
Huh? Whoa, that gave me a start. So it was her. Well, I could have guessed. She's always going on about restoring Wutai. I guess I could spare 100 gil for that.
Get that item.
For that. For her effort. Make it to place.
Get that item.
It's like in Dirge, she's like the person to give like peace to. Hold on, let me turn off this thing. Peace to the body memory that was Zack or whatever.
Exactly.
What? Seriously? This
So
is bad.
She saves.
Run for it!
Yeah, he saves her here.
I really hope that you're still with us.
2. Wondrous Leviathan shines bright. 2. Scenic hot springs not too hot. 3. A tourist attraction for all to enjoy. I want to buy the Wutai like that. Out of Shinra and get their cash.
Yeah.
Then
You are kind of all
guy.
blonde guy?
Right after the war ended, there was this blonde guy who came to see my dad. It was him that left all these soldier mail addresses and the information about the treasures. But my dad didn't pay any mind to the addresses or the treasure info. So that's why I decided to spam all the soldier addresses.
Hey, I told you that's not what happened. I wasn't tricked into anything. So, the blonde guy, did you get a name or anything?
Well, why don't you check your mail? I just sent you one to say thank you for dealing with that monster.
Mail?
Yeah, just take your phone out of your pocket and... Hey, what gives?
I don't think so, kid. That didn't even manage to fool me once. So shame on you.
Mission failed!
Treasure quest... failed.
Poor Yuffie. Prepubescent Yuffie.
Oh no. What was I thinking? Getting all worked up dealing with a kid. Man. But still, who is this blonde guy giving out soldier addresses? Who could it be? The plot thickens.
Leave it to puppy dog Zack to get all fussy over her kid.
Yep.
That voice! Yuffie! Sounds like she's in trouble. Yuffie! Where are you? Oh man, did they get you?
1. A long-awaited appearance. 2. With great resolve deep inside. 3. Here she is to save the day. Yuffie-chan, on guard.
So that screaming back there was fake? Well, I'm glad you're okay. By the way, kid, you might find stealing to be a lot easier if you didn't make such a grand entrance.
Why don't you worry about your own problems, dude? I'm going to take all your treasure. Maybe you should save your progress before I take everything you have.
Oh, save
That
me.
happened in OG.
Good point.
FF7.
I was just thinking I should save. See that? You can be thoughtful when you try.
She's gonna steal everything from him right now.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Oh! You turned around too quick!
Haha. You thought you could steal my items, did you? While I was saving my progress?
Treasure quest
Failed.
failed.
It's like a running faucet.
But these lost monsters were pretty tough. Could it be she really wants to see me dead? Who's the mastermind behind this?
Ooh, he does become dead.
What is this? I don't want this piece of junk.
Whatever.
What is this?
He
Jump.
knows about these dangerous places.
God, how many Yuffie fucking quests are there? Like, that's like already 8 or 9, I think. Maybe 10 or 11 already. Okay, yeah, now she's actually in trouble. But it's like the boy who cried wolf, except the girl instead.
Right.
Yuffie, where? She's not here. She's messing with me again.
What is this?
Acting's place. Oh. Yuffie? Yuffie, are you there? No one's here.
You're being
Another
wined and
trick?
dined.
I've had.
Okay, this is where she's actually in trouble.
Yuffie! You so.
Anti-information I wanted.
Yes.
You should save your progress.
Hmm?
Oh! You turned around too quick!
You need progress.
Treasure quest.
God, this is annoying.
You need progress.
Fury,
Yep.
give it back!
Well, he does save her. I don't know where. It might have been the Bahamut thing. It didn't really show it. But then, of course, if we go...
I think it was like earlier on in the game, like Zack was like surrounded by something or other, or she's, I don't know.
Yeah, hold on. Let me...
Super.
Vincent.
I wanted cutscenes. I don't know.
Oh hey, I unmuted Discord and I see the stream is done.
Yeah.
So the discussion's over? You were just playing with the 7 videos?
Well, the stream's not over.
Yeah, we're still discussing like some theories and stuff like Zack and Vincent Deep Ground, like the I don't know if you saw the video or not yet.
I saw the beginning of it. It's really long. Jesus.
It is. Like there's a lot, like
an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually thinking like if the next video would be about Loveless and like analyzing the poem and I don't know, lots of shit. But I was thinking like since you're showing this Yuffie stuff, we're basically saying Zack and Vincent have Yuffie in their lives in a similar way.
Yeah, like so in Crisis Core, Zack saves Yuffie, but in Dirge of Cerberus, like Yuffie saves Vincent. So it's kind of like a reversal of the roles.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, I think like Yuffie, in my opinion, is like basically borderline annoying in all the games except for Dirge of Cerberus, where she's actually like a light of hope compared to like Vincent's tragic shit.
Well, if you do actually watch the whole video at some point, the plan is what we're doing with this is I'm gonna like download the VOD and then I'm just gonna turn it like I'm gonna get rid of like all the extra stuff that's not theory related and just condense it down into kind of like the post analysis section.
Yeah.
The live stream watch party number 1. And then we're gonna have a second one. We're tentatively planning on the 23rd. But I'm gonna post it about places to kind of see if we can get more people. We'd like to give you an idea. I posted on Reddit like 10 or 15 minutes before we had the watch party. So I didn't expect like there to be that much people showing up or anything, but yeah, check out the video. I think it's compelling. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. I don't want to give too much away about it until you watch it. Basically,
Intertwining fates.
Really, half the video is just cutscenes that I've put together in a certain order in a very specific way to kind of tell the narrative. And then once you get to the analysis section, especially once you get to the section with Vincent fighting Hojo, that from that point on, the video should go like you'll lose track of time from there. Up until that point, you'll be like, why is Zack showing me all this shit? Like, this is kind of boring, like, because you don't have the context. But once you look at the analysis section, you'll probably want to look back and you'll see their strong points. But something that we were talking about before the Yuffie thing is just, who are the new Deep Ground brothers, right? Like we know that Genesis picks up Weiss at the end of Dirge of Cerberus. So, who's the third? Is it Vincent or is it Zack? Because Zack has a beast and Vincent. They're basically two people that would have been candidates for Deep Ground.
Well, per Loveless, we're trying to figure out like the 3 brothers basically don't have a mother or a father. And I guess that because like apparently the beginning, the prologue of Loveless has to do with Cetra and the Promised Land, and then like something happens with the War of the Beasts, whatever the heck that's referencing. And I'm guessing like they fell from grace in some fashion, and like basically the start of after falling from grace has to do with like these 3 do they call them brothers in the poem, or they're like 3 something?
The 3 friends go into battle. One is captured, one flies away, and one left become the hero. So the one thing you'll see I don't want to give too much away with the video, but basically at face value, Crisis Core, you already know the person that's captured would be Sephiroth. Like he's stuck, right? Like he was made in-house at Shinra and he's like stuck, right? And the one that flies away is Angeal, and the one that becomes a hero is Angeal. The one that flies away is Genesis.
Well, yeah. I don't know, because if Sephiroth's another brother, are they friends? Or are the friends referring to the brothers that don't have a mother and a father?
So this is not at this point. It's just at face value, Crisis Core. The assignments just to the early to middle game of Crisis Core, but then when Angeal dies, right? Who becomes the hero? It's Zack, right? The one who flies away, like figuratively, is Angeal. And the one that's captured would be Genesis, I think. But then when you get to the very end, the argument we're making, well, I shouldn't tell you. I want you to save the third one. But then the other part is these 3 assignments also work for groupings of people too. It's crazy. There's triad action everywhere.
Yeah, like there's, I guess, like Sephiroth is like the third timeline or some shit.
I'll give you an example. Okay, this one's not giving anything away. Okay, so when Zack dies, the one who's captured or becomes prisoner, I'm kind of giving a little bit of a hint, but hopefully not too much, would be Zack. The one who becomes the hero is Cloud, and the one that flies away is who's the one that flies away? Sephiroth? I guess, yeah. Because that's the lead up to OG. Those are the three in Final Fantasy VII. And the gift of the goddess is presumably Aerith. But there are these three assignments, and then whoever the gift of the goddess is. So, or whatever the gift of the goddess is. But there's like all these interpretations. But what you find is as the story progresses, these assignments, as soon as, you know, the hero dies or the sword gets passed, you get another set of these, basically. It's like re-rolling dice almost, except it's not random. But yeah, I shouldn't give much more away until you watch the video. I think you'll like it. There's some people that won't like the theory, but I don't think it takes away from the characters or anything. It's just a different view of the characters, and it's a different view of Remake's timeline versus the alternative timeline. You know, one timeline where Zack lives and another timeline where Zack dies, or actually, respectively, one where Zack dies and one where Zack lives, which seems to hinge a lot on the plot. That, and also just realizing the three mainline games is Cloud, Dirge Cerberus, Vincent, Prisoner, right? The mainline games even apply to this. Where is it? So the one who's captured or becomes prisoner would be Vincent. That's Dirge Cerberus. The one that flies away would be the one who flies away would be Zack. No. I can't remember. I guess Sephiroth or something. And then the one whose hero becomes Cloud. So
I don't know. It seems like to make sense of something like this, you need to have like the peakest of all energies possible.
Yeah, it's
like,
yeah, because otherwise it sounds like nonsense. I think I'm with you, Audity, that we just need to make like a flow chart for the next video for Loveless. We need to make like a flow chart of how this all flows, or for people to get it and then explain through it that way. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Have you seen the Kingdom Hearts flowcharts? Those trees. They're so big.
Can I type that in Google? What can I find one?
Probably, yeah.
Kingdom
Hearts story flowchart.
Oh.
Theory flowchart?
Yeah.
Images. Oh my god, is this one of them? I'm gonna go to images. Oh my god.
Well, that's just the Xehanort timeline.
This is fucking Nomura for you, man.
This is just one part of it. This is just the Xehanorts.
I wonder like how many people are going to start doing this, because people have obviously done it for Kingdom Hearts, and now that Final Fantasy VII is going a slightly similar route.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I think unfortunately it'd be a little bit like this, but I'd probably not. I mean, it'd be cool if we could make a flowchart that actually explains everything in this way, but yeah. Like you're saying, there's
I mean,
I
don't care about any of these characters.
What, Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, so like if it was actually replaced with stuff that
that's like
the Final Fantasy VII community actually enjoys, then maybe it'd be a little bit better to look into.
Yeah. Okay, well that's our next project, man. That and like I said, this watch party, the other watch party, because these will be like addendum post watch party analysis #1 here, and then on the one on the 23rd, and try to get those both out before Rebirth. And then I don't know, somewhere in there we're gonna start working on the Loveless one, but
I was thinking like doing something like this where it's just chatting category or whatever.
Yeah,
to get some views, but apparently that's not happening at the current moment.
Well, so here's my theory on it. I think this theory, presuming we're right, is way ahead of its time. Who knows if it's even going to be hinted at Rebirth? It might take its reunion. It might be 5 years later. They'd be like, who the fuck is this ethereal person? You know, that like actually guessed it correctly. I mean, I'm not trying to be, I sound very elitist when I say that. I can't say for sure that I know, but watch the video. It's pretty compelling what's in the video, I personally think. I ran it past Audity here, solewrecker, my other really good friend. And then I even showed my mom. She doesn't know anything about like Final Fantasy VII. And she understood what I was saying. So I think it's. I mean, even though she doesn't know the backstory, I had to explain some of it to her. But
yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm actually going to bookmark this not because I'm into Kingdom Hearts, but just so I can kind of like see what they did. That's crazy. So how long ago did they make these? What was the original date on one of these? Let me go back to Google Images. It's here, right? Info.
I read it was 7 years ago, so who knows?
Version of the image is 5
before,
years.
So this is before Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh wow. Man, I didn't know. I know like Kingdom Hearts like has its following and stuff like, and I've never been like too much into Kingdom Hearts. I had this guy that was in my English LA language arts class in 9th grade, and he got into Kingdom Hearts. His name was Trent, and he told me all about it. And I just for some reason never got on the Kingdom Hearts train. I had a roommate too that I lived with. Would have been like 5 years ago, and he ended up getting what was the last Kingdom Hearts that was released. Was it 3 or 4? He didn't even have a PlayStation 4, but he's like, "Hey, dude, can I borrow like and do like the PSN so he could do like the remote play?" I'm like, "Sure." So he bought the game, but he used my PS4 to play it. Oh, well, I think we should call it. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, we started at 3 o'clock. It's been 6 hours. I mean, we had some technical difficulties for like
your stream died like twice.
What's up?
Your stream died like twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. And I don't even know how, but
yeah, I don't know. I think Twitch, not just your internet, but like Twitch was acting weird. But then I don't know, because like I tried joining someone else's Twitch and they were like fine, but maybe I didn't join at the right time.
I'm wondering, like, maybe if I should just choose a different Twitch server. Let's see what Twitch server that OBS is connecting to. That could be it, too. There's certain ones that are better than others, and it just does, like, one by default. Server, it says auto recommended. Yes, so maybe I should just select the nearest one or, like, maybe one that's not right next to me. Well, sorry you missed the presentation, but like I said, if you go back and then I'll do a condensed version so you can tie it together if you're at all interested, and if not, we'll do another watch party where we'll probably discuss some of the same theories. But yeah, we're like trying to come up with like a cohesive theory, and I think this first video, like I was counting out the hours, like it was just like for basic things already 200 hours was spent putting together the video, and then that doesn't include the time I spent on the phone with Audity. We've been talking about this theory seriously, since November, I think? December? I think sometime in November.
I guess so. It sounds like a long time ago, but...
Oh, it has been a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically...
A couple months, it's fine.
Yeah, and then I started work on the video with Final Cut. It was on the 26th. The first problem we ran into is I didn't realize Final Cut can't import WebMs. So I was able to find a shell script that I was able to modify the bash scripting in it to, unfortunately, Final Cut Pro needs things in a specific form of H.264. You can't have like different containers. So it's basically just a shell script that runs YouTube DLP to download it, and then creates a temp file, and then remuxes it to, I think that's the word, using FFmpeg, and then from there I was able to import them, all of the cutscenes. In total, I think it's a little over 18 hours of all the cutscenes from OG FF7 upresed, Dirge of Cerberus 4K AI upresed, and then Remake and Crisis Core. And I also got Advent Children. Audity actually got me like
yeah, it's only 720p, but it was really high res, like compression or whatever, lossless, whatever the fuck. So even stretching it out, it looks good.
And he was able to get me like this Advent Children, but like apparently had like Russian, and so it was really complicated. I had to figure out the FFmpeg to get the right subtitles and the right language, because it had Japanese, English, Russian, and something else.
About that. I just had to use MKV Toolnix, which apparently doesn't have Mac support much. So I just because I tried to like upload that megamix I made for the Tunic game. I think I had to use that to like MKV Toolnix in order to get wave files into my MKV or whatever, MP4 rather, which I don't know, like probably wouldn't want to upload an MP4 to YouTube. You probably need to. Well, I guess you could. 'Cause you still could do H.264.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
It's really Final Cut Pro that's like needs the files in a certain format. Once they're in the right format, I actually really do love Final Cut Pro. Like it's like stupid simple, and you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. Like honestly, I had just done basic videos with Final Cut I put together, and I pretty much know how to use it now. So yeah, that's the learning curve wasn't too bad. And so I started on the 26th downloading the videos, and I think I started on the 28th or the 29th putting the clips together and doing like initial just like impromptu voice work, and then I just built upon it, and then I got done on February 9th with it.
I think what works really well is just doing narration and then putting shit over it.
Exactly, because you know what's weird is like you could write a script for it, but sometimes actually just kind of shooting from the hip, you can tell like if what you're saying is helpful or not. And what's nice is it's kind of like what you could say about creative writing or writing in general. Writing that just that as I took a class when I was in creative writing class. It was like an accelerated one when I was undergrad, and that professor said something that was very true, which is the best kind of writing is the kind of writing that involves discovery. So like if you know a lot about a topic, doesn't mean you actually write a good paper. It's actually, if you know less about it and you're sharing that discovery as you write, it's actually better because it matches the audience's knowledge. So
That makes sense.
yeah. So so like at first I thought like, oh, this is going to be shit, but actually it turned out really, really good. And then, it turned out really well. And then I also did actually write out some sections and just text edit, just like where I was like, okay, I need to organize this and actually make this like a little bit more thesis driven and stuff. So in the beginning, I definitely wrote out, like I originally wrote out, I was going to write out like an entire Word document and just read it off. But I actually ended up just using the introduction, and then I had recorded that. And then Audity, being the audio file he was like, yeah, there were a couple times he's like slipped over your words and stuff. He's like, nothing that like anyone would hold against you. And then it was there. I was like, actually, I can just improve and make it like sound more like an essay at the beginning, which is what I did.
I mean, there's still like 0.01% things that you like re-record. But yeah.
All that audio ducking, Audity can attest, dude. There's so much audio ducking. There was so many loud parts I had to like audio duck, like around what I was saying. But there was also some parts that were just loud that I had to bring it down. It was either that or run it through like a sound limiter. But like we just ended up just like sound ducking around it to try to get it to all be there, roughly the same amount of decibels. But
there's probably too excessive, but like. It'd require a ton of money. Like I would have to get like a Mac and Final Cut Pro, and I could just like edit the audio. Somehow. But
yeah, I was lucky. I actually got my license of Final Cut Pro. This normally like $1,000 or something, or like 800 or 900 bucks. I got mine because I was working at university, and since I had a .edu address, I got I got a promotional email that was like for students, and it's for life. So I think I got mine for like $400 or something, and I got it like 4 or 5 years ago. And what's great about Apple is like there's no upgrades. Like once you have it, they keep releasing updates and stuff. And so it's not like that's for the Intel chipset. Like they keep updating it. So now it's for the M1. So, and dude, this M1, like my friend Scott, solewrecker was on earlier. He literally gave me an M1 MacBook Pro with 32 gigs of RAM. It's on a system on a chip. It's so fucking fast. And it's a 1 terabyte drive. It's like better than the other one that he gave to me. It was like that other one was 16 gigs of RAM, just not an M1 Pro, but just an M1. And like when I was making the project file, to give you an idea for that hour and a half, 1.7 terabytes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You really have to have an SSD. I'm glad Yeah, it's because it's all 4K. And it does. Well, if I clear the caches, probably some of that would come down because, you know, I obviously did editing, so it would have to recalculate everything, so maybe be less. But yeah, it was 1.7 terabytes.
But like with the future games, do they have like performance mode? Is that in 2K or is that 1080p?
Are you talking about a Final Cut?
Like the Final Fantasy Rebirth and Reunion are going to be like in the future, so they have like 2K or 1080p for performance mode. I think it's 2K.
Okay, so you're talking
60
about the
frames per second.
settings for the game, you mean?
Yeah, because like just the video files for your FCP stuff is just going to get larger and larger because the games are going to be 2K and 60 FPS, 60 FPS, eventually 4K 60 FPS.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing I'm curious about is with Rebirth, I probably for the Let's Play stuff, if I were to do it right, like I want to stream it, but I should also actually record my playthrough. So I don't know what 50 hours that looks like. That seems like it's going to be more than one 4 terabyte drive. But solewrecker also gave me another 4 terabyte drive SSD, but I ran Blackmagic on it and it's not running at like 700, 800 megabits per second. The internal SSD on this MacBook, dude, 6,000, 7,000 megabits per second. It's so fucking fast. But the problem is it's got a finite amount of writes, so I'd rather use an external drive. You know, because eventually like you know, Apple solders it on the board. You're screwed if you run out of write cycles. So yeah, I'll continue using this SSD, and then I don't know. Hopefully this takes off and people actually like support this content creation stuff, because I'm gonna be running through hardware because, you know, the finite amount of writes. I think this Samsung T7 Shield that I have, I think you can do up to 12 petabytes before the drive dies. So that's what, like 12,000 terabytes you can write to before it dies. I've written, so I guess it's gonna last me a while, even if I'm, but not if I'm doing like you're saying, like Rebirth, or, you know, at 4K 50 hours or whatever. That's going to be what, I don't think all of that will fit on one drive, to be honest. Oh well, I'll figure it out. I definitely want to probably record it, unless some other people on YouTube are going to get all the cutscenes together. That would be the thing to do, you know, take the opportunity to at least do the cutscenes, if not the gameplay. I'm definitely going to stream it to Twitch though, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Nice to talk to you, Kazisaki. I don't know if we've ever spoken before or not.
I don't think we have either. Actually, probably the tabletop game for Dexter Clare. As I remember,
was this
Audity? Remember like 12 years ago when you first got a mic?
Yeah.
And then I had to Skype call you and teach you how to use your mic.
Yeah, and then it
that was
still
so
didn't
weird.
work anyway.
It still didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I took I don't know. My memory's gone.
But the funny thing was we used Cam. Like, why did we use Cam?
Yeah.
What's that? 12 years ago. What's Cam?
The camera.
Oh, okay.
Skype. Yeah, we were Skype calling each other on video cam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I like took something and then I was like at the tail end of that and my brain just died. So it was just like, wow, this sucks.
Well, you've gotten like more technically savvy. I remember I was shocked that you used the computer as much as you did. No offense, and you didn't know like some of the stuff you've gotten like a lot better. Like, I mean, you know how to like run the commands in Commander and stuff now. Like, so doing something.
Yeah, well, I don't know what my issue was. Probably just like,
I think you're just as how you spend your time on the computer, right? Like, if you're
missing
like
the train on like having these crappy computers my whole life, rather than like I didn't have an i7 or the equivalent till like it's a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then
so it's just like my brain's just like, well, whatever, who cares anyway? I don't have an i7. Why bother learning anything?
How long have you had the machine that guy built from CVS or whatever?
Like half a year ago, maybe less. It's a Ryzen 9 with the 5950X, so it's like I don't know.
Not like the highest end, but a pretty solid like
it's
3/4.
It's basically the highest you want to go without going too crazy. But I actually wish I got like a 7000 series for Ryzen 9 now, because like if you use OBS and use the X264, like you can like do slow encode mode. I don't know if that's just. I mean, I'm guessing it does higher stuff, because like when you stream just Twitch, there's always some kind of like lossiness, and I'm noticing it. And if I just had just that much more processing power, because like you can't go beyond a certain internet speed, unfortunately, because Twitch doesn't allow that. Although I tried to mess around to try to bypass that, but sometimes it like limits you in some other weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my GPU is 24 gigabytes, which everyone's like, "What the hell is that? Why do you have that?" And I'm like,
Right. So your
"It's
GPU,
4K."
that's your RAM for your GPU. It's like probably like DDR7
Right.
or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't think about that.
GDDR, I guess is what they call it.
Yeah,
Instead of GPU.
7 versus 6. I actually don't know. Sapphire.
And
Plus,
how about your SSD? What's your size of your SSD?
I think it's 2. Let me see.
2 terabyte.
Yeah, 2.
You know, like a couple years ago, I was so nervous with buying hard drives because there were so many that were shit that like you would buy it and you put all your files on there and just they'd all be gone. I'm really happy. Like they finally seem like with the SSDs, like Samsung makes really solid SSDs. I've never had an issue with the Samsung. I think they had some.
That's what I got.
They had some that they made a while ago that were Evo like 850s or 870s or something that had issues. They were like, I guess like try NAND gates or something. There was like some new technology and they had an issue. But yeah, the Shield. I picked up the Shield for $400. It's kind of expensive for the 4 terabyte, but it's like waterproof. It doesn't get that hot considering like what it does, and it's pretty fast. Not as fast as the internal memory or the internal SSD, but still. So, but now that I have this beast of a computer, like to render is going to take probably 1/10 of the time or like 1/5 of the time. So
Is it useful for not just rendering, but just like general computer usage?
oh my God, yeah, it's actually what it is it's the form factor because Apple's, you know, historic about having really large bezels on their screens, but now they've gotten to be so thin that it's the form factor of a 15-inch MacBook Pro, but it's the 16-inch screen. So this thing, like, I'm just gonna be honest, like it's a $3,500 computer. You just handed me a $3,500 computer.
Well, that's more than mine. Well, I mean, like all the parts, individual parts, and then that guy built it, so it cuts out like 1,000 right there. So maybe mine's worse, maybe better in certain ways. Probably worse in terms of like the speeds you're saying, because like the other day, you were talking about M1s that I'd never even heard of M1 architecture before.
So a lot of people, and myself included, okay, just for the record, I've been using Apple computers for a long time, back before Apples were cool to use. But I'll tell you this much. I do like Apple, but I don't like Apple as much as I used to because they've gone mainstream in a way that, but I will tell you this, is once they start releasing the M1s, I didn't have money for a computer, you know, working in research and just earning $43,000 a year doesn't cut it. So I was just still rocking my 2016 MacBook Pro, and I had an issue with the butterfly key mechanisms, which was Apple should have recalled them, but of course they didn't. They did a class action lawsuit. So I still have some keyboard money eventually coming once that gets settled. It's like still in court. But I had 2 MacBooks that had the butterfly issue. One of them was a MacBook Air from 2018, and the other one was a 2016. But the 27, I went to the Apple store. I'm like, listen, I work in tech, and I'm like, I cannot be without a keyboard. Like a keyboard is an essential part of the computer. I mean, you know, if it was like if it was a desktop, then I would just get a new keyboard. But the way they have it, like there, you have to replace like the entire like top case and all this other shit. So I said I cannot be without my computer for 2 weeks. They're gonna, you know, take it and have someone like pick it apart and fix it. And so he just literally traded me through for 2016 for the highest end 2017. So, which I appreciated because, you know, like that's how Apple used to operate. I don't think they do that nowadays. But I will tell you this is like I said for a while, it's like, oh, Intel is like, you know, it's very hand wavy. I mean, honestly, PCs kind of are better, but now that the M1s are actually outperforming, depends what you're doing, but for video editing, especially with Final Cut Pro being specifically in Apple's ecosystem, it really, you know, I know Adobe Premiere is actually supposed to be really, really good, but like for the efficiency and stuff, it really is a run for the money. But everyone thought for the longest time, you know, system on a chip or SoCs were not the way to go. But SoCs actually turns out are the future because that's the reason why it's able to perform as fast. Apple gave Compaq so much shit about soldering memory and shit off on their computers in the 90s. And that's exactly what they're doing nowadays. And even Tesla with their tile system or whatever, basically just an array of SoCs. So I would expect that SoCs are pretty much the future. Crazy.
Yeah, it's like I think I don't know if she was right or not, but I think Crystal was saying something like, "Oh, everyone says Max is the way to go for like video editing, and that's just like an advertising marketing thing." But now it's like actually true,
It
just because
is.
of the emblems.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people, Apple making itself silicon, how Apple was able to do it is they were able to iterate with the iPhone, and they were able to get so much performance out of the iPhone. And then I don't know, someone at Apple, there was in charge of hardware, their department actually came up with an idea that was actually really solid. Like, I think when people were thinking like ARM processors at first, like they're way underpowered and they're very energy. So I'll just tell you a true story. So this MacBook, when fully charged, lasts 16 to 18 hours on battery. It's just ridiculous. And I could be watching videos and stuff. It's insane. So yeah, I have to give Apple props. They have something kind of magical going here. It's only a matter of time until I think there's already PCs that have ARM. It's just PCs haven't gone, completely ARM yet, but there are obviously some ARM stuff out there. But
Is it necessarily always a good thing, like ARM versus this stuff we have now?
Yeah,
'Cause,
for the longest time, ARM meant, wattage and
this is
efficiency
just
over
going to bring up
performance.
for voltage.
But now the way they do it, I don't know how they do it. I can tell you with ARM, that's basically RISC processor. So it's like you have like a slave processor that does certain things, and RISC stands for like reduced instruction set or something. So it's a different form of assembly that is simpler, and so it allows the processors to process things faster than the full instruction set. If you've ever read assembly or know what that means, but it's all assembly basically is memory management. The only reason why I know that is because back in the day when I had the Ragnarok HQ site thing, there was a guy that was on my staff as a volunteer. He was a super genius programmer from Denmark, I think, and he showed me how to reverse engineer some software. We were trying to get the game files, like extract the game files, like you would say using Unreal Engine if it was built in Unreal Engine, but this was a proprietary thing. Turns out there was just a frame offset on the GRF files, which had all of the game assets. So we were actually able to reverse engineer it and make a script to do it. And so we were able to get like all the game assets, like all the item assets, and put those in a database that were searchable and stuff. So
where's this guy now?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been in contact with him since like maybe 2007, 2008, maybe 2009. But then I finally gave up on the Ragnarok HQ stuff because I was trying to reprogram the database stuff because it was written for PHP 4, PHP 5, MySQL 4, MySQL 5, which has a whole bunch of vulnerabilities and stuff. And then my host, which is IRWiki, they had been hosting the site for a really long time. And before that, it was MUX Haven that hosted it for free. And then before that, I paid for all the hosting. But suffice to say, I was going to bring that up for a reason about hosts. I don't know. I'm getting tired. Oh, yeah. So what happened is I lost my leg, and in the middle of me losing my leg, I was like, fuck it. Someone actually fucking hacked the site right as I was trying to get it. And so I posted just like an HTML document. I was like, fuck it. Like some person's going to come by and hack the site right as I'm trying to fucking do this. As I said, fuck it. I lost my leg. This is the last nail in the coffin. And that was the last page that people saw after it being up for like 12 years, I was just like done.
The Ragnarok site?
Yeah. Yeah. It's now it just posts it. Now it just redirects to Polychromatique, my podcast website. It's that fuck it. So it's just a way to get some more traffic.
Right.
Completely unrelated. But if people, remembered me from Ragnarok HQ, like Fuse was my name on there, then they would like find me and say, oh, there's Zach, like he's doing a podcast with his mom or something,
Yep.
So, but I do keep ethereal.net away from that stuff because that's kind of like my old shit. Ragnarok HQ, like there were I had one real life friend that was like really into hentai and stuff. And so he loaded up my site with hentai, and the site was very popular. At one point I was getting like $100, $200 a month off of AdSense shit for a while there. And so that's kind of the reason why I keep it separate, is that's like, it was kind of dirty, but
It's tainted, but it makes you money.
Exactly. It's tainted, but it makes me money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, still raking in that dough off the side somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Side hustle, literally and figuratively. But
just hold on, we just don't know if there's a way to post this.
But what's nice,
probably can on the internet.
But what's nice about the whole podcasting thing is because we did the podcast thing, I now have a Rodecaster and I now have an Shure SM7B. So for like streaming or for making like videos now, I have like all the equipment. And then, like I said, either Fred came through with a computer like that. I don't have the money for a $3,500, $4,000 computer. So, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I just posted something in Talk Gaming, my graphics card. I just like there's these images scrolling by. They're all flashy. I'm just watching it subconsciously while listening.
Wait, which channel do you put it in?
Talking Gaming.
Oh,
Talk
okay.
Gaming.
Talk Gaming. Oh, is that your graphics card or is that the one you wanted?
It's one I have.
Oh, okay.
Installed right now. So just like I'm just watching the images scroll by and it's relaxing while just like
Those
chilling
are really pretty colors though, man.
Yeah.
Is that, do you have like a clear case or is it like it's in there, you don't see it?
I do have a clear case, like opaque or whatever the fuck. Translucent, I guess is better. Because I think opaque is you can't see it, sort of, mainly.
It's fuzzy.
Yeah. So I can see it. I actually turned off all the lights, including like other lights in the computer, just because crypto mining. Yeah, I don't want my lights on when I'm sleeping.
That's understandable. Yeah, you don't like when all the bling and shit. Which, by the way, are you actually earning any money doing that, or are you just wasting electricity at this point?
Well, I did just choose. I looked at the most profitable ones for my specific GPU, and just like, I'll go with I don't even know, Alphenium. I don't even know what the heck it is.
Like, what's the base crypto that's based off of, or is it its own thing entirely?
Like, I think it's supposed to be an Ethereum killer.
Oh, really?
Kind of thing. Maybe it is just a blockchain. I don't know. Let's just go to the fucking website.
Is MadeSafe ever going to come out with something like that, like their own crypto?
MadeSafe has its own like
But isn't it like right now just like more or less a stock until it actually releases?
Yeah, I mean,
Safe Network releases.
Right. Yeah. The Safe Network, the MadeSafe coin. Well, the MadeSafe's the company name, so it's not the actual like technology name. So therefore, they have MadeSafe coin as a temporary token until the Safe coin comes out.
So that's just like the project code name, basically.
Yeah, they're gonna call it something else besides Safe coin, but they don't have that released yet, which is weird because they're gonna take a million years to release the thing. But it's actually coming together because they're actually having public test nets, which I would say is like, oh, it's so good that they have that, and that means they're gonna be done. But then it just could be like in the phase of public test nets for who knows how long. But anyway, they have something called like closed group consensus, and there's so many updates and stuff, and it's taking so long that my brain just forgets, and it's just like I have to keep, because they used to have this thing where like, oh, we have this new golden egg thing where like it's called parsec, I think it was. It was abbreviated, just like the P meant something, etc. Each letter meant something.
Oh, let's look it up.
Parsec consensus code. Parsec consensus.
Oops.
Yeah, parsec rust. What is parsec? I'll just link it here. Science and technology.
It's finding parsing. I clearly don't know how to spell parsec.
Oh, I put it in.
Sorry, I put D accidentally. And the reason why I was doing that is because I'm stretching my residual limb. Oh God.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm getting like fucking phantom pain again. Let's see. Parsec rust. Parsec consensus algorithm by Byzantine vault tolerance
and works under assumptions that lie between partial synchrony and asynchrony. The precise synchrony assumption is blah blah blah. As such, it is suited for many cases where one would usually apply this asynchronous. So basically, they actually mentioned the safe network here. In parsec, peers that are part of the system often called a section in the code, which I think they actually got rid of that too. They're like so they developed parsec on their own, and it's like, wow, this is our greatest thing. And then the CEO's like, eventually, like almost a year later, like, yeah, this is too slow for us. We're gonna ditch it entirely. So now they do that kind of mentality, except they don't wait a year before they realize it's shit. They like wait like a week or
Oh,
2
good.
weeks
So
or 3
they're
weeks.
so they're not investing time in ideas that are
Yeah.
not going to execute on. By the way, the
Yeah.
website I'm on right now, I actually really like the color of this site for some reason. I always anytime I see like a website and I see like a
Yeah.
design thing, like I always get inspired. I'm like, oh, I need to go back to writing HTML.
Are you talking about the docs.rs site or the Nitro?
Docs.rs.
Yeah.
Like it's very
Yeah, I was-
clean and very. I like the colors. Like honestly, I could see ethereal.net. Like if I were to ever like redesign it, like use
Yeah.
some colors like that on it, because that would
Yeah,
work
it's
really
kinda
well
like-
with my logo.
Well, it's very code oriented.
Yeah, but it's very very clean. Like I'm liking like not necessarily like the top's nothing special, but like the two colors. And I don't know, but I'm looking at it, and unless I'm seeing something incorrectly, I actually think I might be seeing a slight gradient here on the right.
Yeah.
Maybe or maybe it's just a color that looks that way.
Yeah, well, I think it's my monitor is curved, so if I move my head,
Oh, that's right.
Anyway.
You got one of those fancy ones. I don't have any curved monitors. I just have regular old ones.
yeah. What was that? Oh yeah, so safe network stuff. So let's go to Alephium. It's not Alphinium. It's Alephium is the thing I started mining. I think there was a couple other ones I was considering, and somehow I actually got into a mining pool like that actually works. Like let's see, I could probably start it right now. Then I might risk my computer crashing, but that doesn't happen lately.
You said Alephium?
Alephium. ALEF. Wait. ALEPH.
ALEPH.
IUM.
Alephium.
I started mining it before $1 somewhere, maybe even 50 cents. And it went up to like almost $3 and it's going back down a little bit. So I actually have like $70 right now for using it like a month and a half.
And when you say $70 USD?
Yeah, like I almost have 30 Alephiums and it's like $2.50. A little bit less than that now, but I think it's about to like stabilize at 250.
Is there?
And it might just go up.
Is there a way that you could like? Is there a website that actually like looks at like the actual objective of these networks and how well they're built out to like know like their
wiki comparison page,
their adoption, like their general adoption, to know like whether or not like there are that many people on there to like for something to be worthwhile, you have to ensure if there's not current adoption, there's going to be future adoption, or there's at least growth in adoption, right? I'm just imagining. I don't know what I'm talking about though.
Let's see. I'm trying to go to the website. This freaking page. Trying to find. Okay, just go left site. A new paradigm. Innovative sharding meets expressive SUTXO and efficient proof of less work to secure scalable DApps for real-world use cases.
You know what's funny is it sounds like they're just making up words.
Yeah.
It's probably got context, so I don't understand the context.
Built on a novel sharding algorithm called Blockflow, it leverages a stateful UTXO model and DAG data structure to deliver efficient and practical sharding. This enables Alephium to natively support...
You said sharding? I'm just sharding.
Natively support over 10,000 transactions per second while preserving a seamless single-chain user experience. I don't know how much 10,000 transactions per second actually means anything. I would think like millions of transactions per second is more impressive. Whatever.
Have you guys heard of Bram Cohen? He was the founder of BitTorrent. He like
BitTorrent, yeah.
Yeah, he like formed his own like
crypto model.
Yeah, and what it was is instead of using like CPU, it uses like hard drive or something instead, so it does not use power.
Right. That's what Safe Network's actually going to do. Like it's based on like farming instead of mining. You can like basically sit on people's data.
Yeah, it's this is called Chia. That's what it was, Chia. It's a blockchain. Yeah, Chia Network, XCH. The new standard in digital infrastructure and blockchain technology, engineered to enable, empower, and innovate. unwavering security, regulatory compliance, sustainable. You know what's weird is like these are all like built out somewhat, but like what about like when the internet, like you don't have hosts anymore, you just host everything on the blockchain, right? Like is that the idea eventually? Is this like it's like
for
a
which system?
just a lot of them, like because I know there's like smart contracts and all that, and like there's like so it's like basically you make this super hyper like connected like consensus fail-safe network that like the website could never go down. Like it's not like a single AWS machine with load balancing or whatever. It's like backed up in like 60 billion locations. Like,
yeah, that's what the safe network basically is. I don't know how different Chia is from that, but yeah, it's like the beginnings of the network is actually not as stable as the later ones, because so if 1 billion or half the world uses it, it's basically impenetrable.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like because it's better. It was like quantum resistant because it's cross encryption built in by design. It's like, I don't know, shit.
I have to just ask real quick. Do you guys ever think that like the internet, like I got on the internet first time, I think it was like 94, 95, like 25 years later, that like we're like technology's grown so fast, it's scary. Like by the time we're like going to be fucking old men, you know, it's going to be fucking like, right? Crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna. Well, I mean, to speak nothing of AI and yeah.
Europe
supports mutable states like those found in Ethereum for smart contracts while leveraging the security benefits of the UTXO model for assets. Its own virtual machine and programming language, Livfe enhances developer experience and security with its virtual machine SDK and performance optimized programming language. Its MEV aware design, where that is, and built-in security measures eliminate common attack vectors such as reentrancy attacks, unlimited authorization, and flash loans. Livfe allows devs to focus on what matters and pioneers entirely new possibilities for smart contracts, dApps, and tokens.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. 70 million elf circulating. Oh, yeah.
Well, with that, I think my brain's fried. I think I'm gonna go to bed.
It's almost midnight.
Yeah, it's 9:47 here, but it feels like midnight for me, and it is midnight for you guys.
I'm gonna start getting headaches, and I think, I don't know.
So I think I'm gonna take a couple days off, but then I'll post to like Reddit or somewhere the plans. You don't have to be desperate or anything with Blitz. Just I'll be curious if he gets back or not. If not, no worries. You know, it's just that you knew him from some circumstance, and it was worth a shot. Like I'm not like upset about it. You know, like it was kind of like a far shot.
Maybe if it was like 3 years ago when he was still small.
Oh, okay, yeah. So if it was a while ago, especially like,
well, he's still like, I don't know. Maybe he forgot about me in the last like 4 months, but